Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Teacup for One Oscar movie marathon. My name is Matt, and I have 2 degrees, and we are here for another week to talk about an Oscar contending movie, but one of, I think the most nominated films of the year, if not the most. It has 11 nominations. It's one of the biggest titles in the Oscar conversations. It is Poor Things, aka Frankenstein, but what if the creature was a lady? So we're going to discuss that and so much more today here. It's not what I was expecting, and it's exactly what I was expecting. There is no in between what there is, and that's where I sit. I don't know how I feel about this movie. Anyway, we'll see. Let's bring in Jeanette. Hi, Jeanette.
Hey,
We're talking about your favorite movie of the year.
I know, and potentially one of my favorite movies ever.
Ever?
Really, yeah, it's up
Ooh,
there. It's
ooh.
on my gonna rewatch this when I'm sick and need comfort list. It's. I think it might be. I mean, not to go back to our Kubrickian reference last week or the week before, whenever I brought that up, but it's gonna be up there with like Clockwork Orange. Like I watch that movie when I'm just chilling
I
and
had
want to watch a movie.
I had that realization about Barbie over the weekend because I got Barbie on Blu-ray for my birthday, which was last Tuesday, yeah, a week and a day ago. And the internet went out in my
Yeah.
apartment over the weekend. And so I thought, well, I'll watch Barbie, perfect opportunity, nothing else to distract me. And I just sat and
Hmm.
watched a Blu-ray for the first time in ages. And it was so good. I already knew it
Yeah.
was good, but I don't tire of watching Barbie. And I think beyond this year, it might be solidified and maybe not my top five, maybe top 10, maybe top.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering with this movie. If it's in my top 10, my top 5, or my top 3.
Yeah,
So I gotta.
we are still in the honeymoon phase with all these movies. They're new. They're
Yeah, like a year from now, let's see where I'm at. I don't think I'll have changed whether I like it or not, but
oh, for
let's
sure.
see if I've rewatched it and where I am attached to it, I suppose.
Yeah. So, I didn't think of an opening question for today. What is your favorite reanimation movie?
Oh gosh, this is actually a really good. So I let me say this. I
Yeah.
don't know necessarily that it's my favorite. I know when I was much younger, it was probably my favorite, and it is extremely underrated. Is called My Boyfriend's Back.
Is that
And
like a
it
Disney Channel movie?
no,
No?
no, there's a scene in it that I can certainly tell you it was not.
Just based on the title, I could just picture like a kitschy 1960s style, like my boyfriend's back and
So
I brought him back to life. Hey,
that song's in it, obviously.
good.
But it is of that style though. It looks and feels like a Disney Channel movie, but there's like other stuff in it that obviously it's quite not. But yeah, that one, and then I think maybe my favorite is probably The Mummy, the Brendan Fraser masterpiece.
I didn't even consider that, but that has to be my answer. I was going to say Bride of Frankenstein to be pretentious, but yeah, it is The Mummy. It's the Brendan
It's
Fraser movie.
probably The Mummy. And I mean, I don't know if you consider vampires reanimate. This opens a whole can of worms.
No, no, no. Vampires are their own thing.
Yeah,
Vampires.
yeah. I think Frankenstein, maybe, like we said, it's a mummy, but the mummy, there's like, googly's over it.
That's true. No, no. I think reanimation does have to have a science element. Like it needs to be
Yeah.
Mary.
There is the classic horror film, The Reanimator, which is like literally, yeah, oh yeah, very, very famous movie. Then there's Frankenhooker. That's a good one. That one's really funny.
She have
What's
actually, I don't
that?
know why I'm assuming it's a girl, but I guess that's very sexist of me.
Why?
Because Frank and Hooker, guys can be hookers.
Yeah, well, that's true,
No.
I suppose. I'm like,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's from the 80s. I mean,
Oh,
you
okay.
know,
So
or
yeah.
early 90s
Could
maybe.
we call this movie Frank and Hooker?
So when I watched it, if you go online, there are people drawing severe parallels between the two.
Really?
Yes. It's
Good.
pretty funny.
As
Yeah,
they should. As
yeah.
they should. Oh yeah, let's see who we have in the chat here. It looks like we have our usual suspects. My cats, speaking through my mom's account. Eliza didn't watch the movie. It's true. Although Eliza was in my room while I was watching it, but she wasn't paying attention. She's going to listen and watch the rats on her
It
tablet.
has a lot of something in it that people usually don't want their pets in the room for. So
Yeah, fair. Sabrina didn't like this movie. She's gonna go play and watch cat games. And my mom's here. Oh yeah, I guess content warning for people watching, especially the innocent cat.
yeah,
This movie has a lot of very mature subjects, images, themes, visuals. Yeah, I think the movie's rated R, And so I'm not saying the discussion will be, but
Yeah, I mean, we'll try to keep it, we're not trying to be too tacky here, but I mean, like, I would say that potentially in the 90s, this movie wouldn't have been released the way that it is edited now.
Oh, for sure.
Or it would have been NC-17 and never seen the light of day. So definitely not be nominated for an Oscar. So.
Yeah, what a world we live in. Let's bring in our next guest. Look, it's Alex, everybody.
Hello.
Hello, welcome. Alex, what is your favorite Reanimation and or Frankenstein-inspired movie?
Probably the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Oh, that's an
yes.
excellent answer.
That's a good one.
That is
it did he build that body though? Is that reanimating or animating for the first time?
No, the whole idea is that he created life, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The spark of life. So
so the body was there already.
Yeah, I mean, details. But yeah.
Like on the page, they more or less imply, if not outright say, that Frank built the body, but like it doesn't look like a built body. It looks like a reanimated one. Unless he like literally took clay of human flesh and made it. It's hard to say.
Like they do in Multiplicity when they just shoot the little jelly in the mold and it just
Sure. Is that the movie?
Have you ever seen that movie? It's so good.
Keaton?
Yes, it's so good.
I can picture the poster where it's just a bunch of him hugging the one.
And then Andy McDowell going,
keep forgetting about Andy McDowell. Speaking of classic 90s, let's bring in Vince.
Yeah, I'm in my 90s.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah.
Vince, what is your favorite movie that features reanimation or a variation on the Frankenstein story?
Has anyone said Weird Science yet?
No, perfect.
Okay, well, I'm saying Weird Science. In some aspects has not aged well, but you know what? It's still got charm.
You know what? I like the movie Earth Girls Are Easy. Most people can't even get past the title on that one.
I love that. The musical numbers are so good.
Yeah.
Because I'm blonde. Yeah. Because I'm blonde. Yeah. Oh, I want to go watch at least the musical numbers now from Earth Girls Are Easy. Wait, there are 2 songs, right? Or there?
Yeah, I think so.
I know there's Because I'm Blonde, and then
I don't know why I group Weird Science and that. I don't know. There's like maybe I watched them on the same day when I was
Gina
younger.
Davis?
Maybe.
I think Gina
is
Davis.
She in Weird Science?
I think she almost definitely is.
It's been much longer. It's been much longer since I've seen Weird Science.
Yeah, I've never seen Weird Science. That's just kind of a fact that seems to be ingrained into my brain that I think Gina Davis is in it.
She looks like Gina Davis. I can guarantee that.
She was the poor woman's Gina Davis at the time.
Okay. Well then, Gina Davis, we love it. I almost think Gina Davis would have been Bella if this movie was made in the 80s.
Gina Davis, ding, 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 6 degrees of reanimation. Beetlejuice, she's kind of reanimated for a minute there.
For a minute? No. Like the body's
on the table when they're in their bridal attire.
I guess that's more. She's summoned though. She's summoned.
Yeah.
Like the body wasn't reinstated with life. Maybe it was. I don't know. Maybe Beetlejuice 2 will give us answers. I'm excited for Beetlejuice 2.
Yes.
Bring on Beetlejuice 2. Yes.
Alex was bored. I'm so sorry.
He was. What a shame. We offended Alex.
We're not talking about this movie.
So before we dive into the movie, I guess quick entertainment news. I tagged Jeanette in an Instagram post this afternoon that I was very excited by. And Vince, have you heard the news? You don't know what it is yet, so I'm going to tell you. Here we go.
I've heard some news.
Some news. Okay, it might not be this news. If it
Probably
is,
not.
there's been lots of news.
I'll be shocked.
Yeah. So there is a now kind of long-running production of Little Shop of Horrors off Broadway, and they're doing lots of really exciting things with casting. Like, I think the longevity of this production is that they are stunt casting, but like in the best way possible. Yeah. Where their Seymours and their Audreys are very high profile, either film, TV, or musical theater actors, or people who've kind of dipped their toe into all the mediums. And they're all vastly different types of performers, which is so exciting. At least I think it's exciting because that's not something I feel traditionally we saw when people were being brought in to replace other performers on Broadway or off Broadway, because a lot of it had to do with maintaining whatever the show was when it opened and trying to find people who were very similar, as it were. Oh, Alex is back. There we go.
Oh,
hello, Alex. And so anyway, they announced this morning that the new Audrey in Little Shop off Broadway is Drag Race royalty queen Jinx Monsoon.
Wow.
Yes. So Jinx
super
Jinx
excited.
made her Broadway debut in Chicago as Mama Morton last
Too
year.
much acclaim.
So much.
Yeah.
Too much acclaim.
I saw a few clips. The acclaim was merited, and Jinx is just like I've said previously. I've seen all the drag races, but I only remember like 2 or 3 specific queens, and like Jinx is top of the list. I
Yeah.
adore Jinx. I think Jinx is incredibly talented, and it's such good casting. I feel like
It
it's
really is.
such incredibly because Jinx just has this quality of grace that is also kind of broken and jaded at the same time, which
Yeah.
is exactly what Audrey is.
I would love to see her as Audrey, mainly because she's not frail looking and she doesn't have that high pitched voice.
Right.
So like I'd like to see that kind of take on Audrey. I feel like usually you don't see that.
Yeah, I'm not going to go to New York likely to see it, but I want to. I'm not going to, but like I want to. If only New York was still cheap, like it was 10 years ago.
I forgot that Audrey wasn't just the plant.
That's a common misconception, actually,
Mhm.
that happens a lot when I discuss Little Shop. People think that I'm talking about.
Yeah, I was like, why are they talking about the way she looks? She's going to be a plant. Oh, yeah, I guess Audrey is based on
Audrey
Audrey.
too.
Yeah.
Audrey too.
Yeah, I didn't forget the 2. I just forgot that there was a non 2. Oh,
Audrey's
one.
such an interesting role to see how people approach it because Ellen Green is so specific with how she characterized Audrey. So it's one of those things where I feel some performers just inherently feel like they need to do that or a version of that. Like Carrie Butler, who did it when it went to Broadway in 2004, I think she was very Ellen Greenish well, Carrie Butler already has kind of a high pitched voice, but yeah, I want to see just every Audrey in this production to see how different she is or how similar, but I never will. So moving on. Does anyone else want to talk about Jinx Monsoon as Audrey?
I'm just very excited.
Good for her. You know, I'm happy for her. She overcame so much in her season. Every other queen was conspiring against her.
Like narcolepsy.
Yeah.
She's also overcome being hit by a car too. So that's
Oh,
yeah.
hit by a
Jinx got
car?
hit by a car in Prague like years ago, and she
in
was like,
Prague.
Wow.
I guess that's not the worst place to get hit by a car.
Yeah.
or
There are
Amsterdam.
worse.
It was Prague or Amsterdam. One of those.
Oh,
two, I
I'd
think.
rather it be Amsterdam. If I had to pick.
Well, speaking of all these places in Europe that Bella may or may not have gone to, let's talk about Poor Things. Hooray. I have to say, I should have done Justice for Seagull because I'm still really upset that Seagull was
Yeah.
ship. Yeah, instead of Justice for Frog. There's a lot of animal cruelty in this movie that I didn't care for. There's a lot of things in this movie I didn't care for. Let's talk about opening statements on this movie. Had anyone seen it prior to the assignment of this week? Jeanette did. So for the 3 of us, this was our first time watching Poor Things, I tell you. Yeah. All right. So let's go with our first impressions from those who are fresh to the material. And then we'll hear from Jeanette, who saw it once. And then I am assuming rewatched it for this. And yeah. Like I said in the opening statement, it was what I expected and not what I expected. It was visually stunning, which I knew it was going to be just based on posters and trailers. It made me uncomfortable, which I knew it was going to, but more so than I thought it would. It's really just a movie that is all the things I don't like in movies, which I don't like body horror. I don't like seeing bodies mutilated. And so there is a big component to that. But then I think it also just taps into human anxieties surrounding like the human body and like birth and stuff. There's just so much Freudian stuff, I think, to unpack. It made me feel like I was watching one of those things they made us watch in film school when they were saying movies all exist in some capacity to make you uncomfortable with Freudian things and humanity and the body being torn apart. I'm like, oh, it's this again. There are things I thought were interesting about it. And I didn't want to like Emma's performance just because I'm a contrarian that way.
Oh, I was like, why?
Well, yeah, for no reason. I love Emma Stone. I think she's a great actor. And I don't know. I just went in, I think, because of all the hype. I didn't want to like the performance. And I held out for a long time thinking what she's doing isn't easy, but it feels very much like a performance that is easy to throw an award to because just by merit of what she's doing and the progression that the character goes through. And there's just a lot of stuff required of the performer, but it was like great. She was really good. And I almost feel like she might be my pick for best actress, but I'm not sure yet. We'll see. Anyway, we'll discuss more. I don't know if I like this movie. Vince, what did you think?
You know what? I think I like this movie, but I gotta say, like, I think it's funny that there's a tobacco warning at the beginning of the movie.
That was what my husband said to me. He's like, well.
Of all the
Wow.
things,
It's followed by 2
And I said,
hours.
that's the only thing that should have a warning.
Yeah.
So
Meanwhile, I don't think I saw anyone smoke a cigarette until the last 10 minutes of the movie.
well the naked Frenchman.
oh yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
him
him too.
too.
Yeah,
With the
good point.
pipe.
Good point.
Yeah.
I want to know whose idea that was. 'Cause that
That's
was the pipe was I don't know.
So I thought, since it's just the depiction of tobacco, I watched this with my mom, and
how was that? What was that like?
I wish I could say she walked out, but she stuck through it.
All 2.5 hours.
What was the point at which point you thought, I wish she would walk out? Like, how far into the movie did you get before you
I
thought,
want to say it was I made it through when I think when we saw Emma Stone in Cowgirl, that was the moment where I was like, you know what?
Okay.
Maybe I should have watched this on my own.
How many more pages of the Kama Sutra is my mother gonna watch with me?
So look, I enjoyed it. Aside from all that, I was able to separate myself. I was on the other side of the room.
I was like,
It
you were
was fine.
floating somewhere up here out of your body.
Gone to my mind palace.
You know what? I think Emma Stone did a good job, and I think it was courageous of this film to feature full bush. So
Did it feature
Everybody.
full bush?
yeah,
equal
and at least
opportunity
one wide
across
shot
the
on the
board.
boat.
I missed that.
Yep.
You should
And-
go back. It's on the boat.
And man bush. Many man bushes.
Well, man, that's yeah.
I think
I'm a little sad about the man bush. but-
To be fair, it's rarer. Is the
Is
rare
it?
bush in films? Yes,
Ma-
for
Yeah.
sure.
male genitals is rarer than female genitals. I disagree.
Oh, yeah.
In film,
I'm not gonna. I can't speak to the statistics, but personally, I can recall many more scenes of dangling ding dongs than vaginas.
huh?
Tits, sure, but
it's
full vag.
there.
I feel that in my experience, that's a pretty big rarity. Yeah.
Hmm.
I don't
Well, this
think we
movie's
ever
breaking
saw
down
Emma's
the
ass.
barriers then.
Like I've seen Vigo, I've seen Defoe, I've seen Fassbender, I've seen like the list goes on and on and on. But
Like,
women's
all in the same
vagina,
movie?
Drake.
sure, yeah, you know, I can't really. Nothing comes to mind, and I missed. I blinked when Emma Stone flashed hers. So, I'm missing out.
Just
It
a
was a wide
flash.
shot.
Yeah, hey, I was searching, but
Well, Alex, what did you think of the movie?
I enjoyed the movie. I had no expectations. Aside from what I'd heard from other folks commenting on it, I knew that Jeanette liked it, but yeah, I had no expectations when the movie opened. I was like, this looks a lot like Alice in Wonderland.
Oh, it looks way
and-
better than Alice in Wonderland. Don't discredit the visual.
Oh, you misunderstand me. I'm saying that visually it reminded me, like the
Yeah.
visual themes reminded me of like Alice in Wonderland aesthetics, with the blue dress and
Oh, okay.
then
Like
later on, like the,
specifically the Burton one, but you
no.
overall-
I mean
okay,
the
yeah.
Burton, you could probably draw some parallels visually, but yeah, like there were a lot of fantastical imagery in this one, like whatever fantastical, maybe not the right word, but like exaggerated colors and sort of fantasy-esque elements. So anyway, I liked it. I don't know. I relate to some of what you said about like the performance. Like I like Emma Stone and I liked her in this movie. I don't know that I agree. Like I haven't seen a lot of the contenders. The only one really, as far as I know, was thus far was the fucking Moon, whatever.
Lily Gladstone.
Really glad.
Yeah, there we go.
She's the other main contender.
yeah.
She's
We've
the
al-
only
no,
one
we've already
anybody's like,
sworn it's 20 minutes. Although
No, I said anyway. So like I don't know that I would I mean, Emma, we see so much more, so it's like it's an unfair comparison.
Mhm.
Off the cuff, I want to say that I would pick, I guess, Lily Gladstone over Emma Stone at this point, but my justification for that would be, I guess I thought Lily was more subtle in her performance and slash nuanced, whereas, and not to say that like I have any nitpicks with Emma Stone at all. I just think the way the role is written, like I think Emma Stone did a great job for a very well written role. It's like one of those things where, like, it in my mind, it's I want to reward the actor who like I want to give Ian McGregor in the prequels, you know, like in episode 3, I want to give him the Oscar for what I consider a horrible movie. But in spite of a horrible movie and horrible writing, you know, he perseveres and makes a poorly written role, you know, almost great, if not arguably great. So it's that kind of like dichotomy, I guess, where it's like, yeah. And I, you know, thought it was a shame that, you know, we had Mr. Hung Willem Dafoe right there, and we just see a bunch of, you know, meager appendages,
little French wieners.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
So there are other movies you can go
and
to.
cadavers.
There are other movies you can go to.
And the movie is quotable. I'll give it that. Like the I wrote down a lot of fun lines, but there's too many. This movie definitely worthy of rewatching and definitely worthy of just being quoted for a long time.
Nice. Jeanette, what do you think? Or tell us about like the first time you saw it and how you feel it's held up.
So we went and saw it in the theaters, and I think that's a good first impact with this, just because it is like the visuals are very grand. Like that whole fisheye thing takes on a different effect when you're sitting in a theater. That said, we have a fairly large television at home, so again, like I think this is viewed best on whatever the largest screen you have is. It's just very artsy and it's very grand, and there's the set design is like there's tiny little details everywhere. So we saw it in the theater. I loved it immediately. I came here and I told all of you that I loved it. So I mean, I'm attached to it for many reasons. I there's literally not an aspect of this film that I don't think. I think maybe there might be a couple of exceptions, maybe costume or something. Even then, questionable why I would pick somebody else. But there's not an aspect of this film that I don't think it's the best version of this year. Like having read part of the book so far, great adapted screenplay. Like just was blown out of the water, and then as I thought about it over time, kept revisiting parts of it, and then when we rewatched it, was able to appreciate the parts I was already thinking about, take in new parts, kind of reapproach things that I had put messages in and be like, is that message really there? And then find new things that I hadn't found before as far as like not subliminal, but like archetypes that I hadn't noticed before, and acting nuances I hadn't noticed before, which you want to talk about Willem Dafoe, and it's a shame. It's a shame that I don't understand how he's not nominated for supporting acting.
I don't understand how Ruffalo.
Don't understand.
That's my.
Yeah, like that was a different role for Ruffalo. I've never seen him be the slimy guy. I've never seen him be that. So like, sure, great, nominate them both, but Willem Dafoe,
No, just Dafoe.
like,
I disagree.
through all of that heavy makeup, when people can act through makeup, that was another thing I noticed that I really loved about this. For as many like CGI backgrounds as it has a ton of practical set effects, and like just everything looked so tangible. Everything on the people, everything around the people. And then I felt like it made the CGI that's there stand out in a fantastical way, not in a, oh my God, that's CGI way.
Yeah.
It's just so much about this movie felt like, I don't know. I think it's whenever you like identify with something, not just the message, but like literally the visuals, like you're like, oh my God, I feel like I just spit this out of my own brain. Like this looks like something that I would have made if I had resources. So I'm like, this literally looks and feels the literally down to the score. The way the score talks to you through the movie is crazy. Like if you just listen to the score, there's a story. It's wild. I love it.
Some could say a scory.
That would be true. Is it a scary
Yeah.
story?
Yes. Now, I'll admit, I think my viewing experience was impacted negatively because I wanted to prepare myself, not knowing what the movie was going to have in store for me, because there are certain things visually that I kind of draw lines at that I just know I can't look at. Like there was a scene in Oppenheimer that I knew was coming, but I didn't know when. And I spent my whole first time seeing the movie with my eyes closed. As Alex going to
Because of the dreaded paper mache. Oh, so horrifying.
I didn't know how gross it
A
was.
woman
gonna
put
be.
paper mache on her face. That's terrifying.
I read that it showed someone's skin being flayed off. I didn't know what flayed meant, so I just thought, do I have to see some poor girl melt, and when's it going to happen?
It meant paper mache.
Anytime a fantasy sequence happened in Oppenheimer, I was like, okay. So anyway, I wanted to prep myself for what this movie had in store, and I read the parent reviews, and that was a mistake, or maybe it wasn't, because
Parent review.
yeah, like the parental guide, like is it appropriate for kids to watch? Which
The
obviously
only person in
I
this
could've said
square
that.
that needs, I was gonna get Vince. He's the only one that needed parental guidance.
But there was a commonality. There were two things that were a common criticism with everyone, and they argued this very adamantly, and I couldn't get it out of my brain for better or for worse. One was the claim that the movie was pornography, outright pornography, which is it or is it not?
So tired of
discussion
hearing
to-
that.
Yeah. Oh, I agree. I don't think it is.
Freaking
But I can see why
decades
people would
now.
say-
Well, I mean, I'll wank off to this eventually, but
Yeah, so and some people do to Bozo the Clown. I mean, like
yeah. Hey,
It's
it's all
like-
porn.
literally everything.
Although I do want to discuss the level, like how I want to say gratuitous, but like, is it? Who knows? There's a lot of like
There's
very
a lot.
overt sexual content. Like,
Yeah, but it's all for
almost all of
purpose. Like,
oh, for
it's
sure,
not
it is
like
all
The Room.
Exactly.
Yeah. So there's that, and then other people were saying that it was glorifying. I don't even know if I can say the word without getting demonetized, but it starts with a P, and it's about taking advantage of underage people by merit of the fact that they put an infant's brain into her body.
But
And
at that
then-
point, she's in her mentally, she would be in her like late teen. The way she was progressing, she'd be in like her late teens, early 20s over that set of like 3 to 4 years.
Yeah, the dubious.
I thought about it too.
Yeah.
I think that the point of that specific aspect of it, like how old is she? Like how old is she actually?
Yeah.
What I found interesting is that would mean that when Mark Ruffalo's character was doing like getting her out of her zone to come with him, she would have been like mentally 12, 13.
Mhm.
And then by the time she went off
Yeah.
to do this, like 12,
Before
13,
that, she was
14.
betrothed.
Yeah. And that's what he found interesting. And then when she started to actually mature,
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. No, for sure. Yeah.
again, making him slimier than before. Like,
Oh, for sure. Yeah, so I think like that was just that increased the ick factor for me watching
Mhm.
the whole time, and I think I would benefit from watching it a second time now, knowing what the movie is, to assess how I really feel about that. Because like the shock value, I think, alongside the anticipated shock value, set me up to judge the movie before I saw it, and I'm still kind of uncomfortable with that element of it. But yeah, I do need to, I guess, reassess. Alex has his finger up.
Yeah, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but having only seen the movie one time, I can't attest to my ability to parse the substance down to its very core, as accurately as I would if I had seen it multiple times. But my takeaway from the movie is that it's pretty much a commentary on like human cruelty or human nature. So like from my take, like the whole movie from beginning to end is like has both overt and less overt. Like it has lines that say, right, even that, like even when when the student, the assistant to God, they have that discussion early on in the movie where God brings up marriage and they talk about whatever. He says I had dark thoughts, and Willem Dafoe basically says, like it's like he says that men's sexuality is inherently like evil, all the way to the end where that guy, whatever his name is, Vince or something. There's a Vince here, but other Vince maybe. The black guy at the end, he's like, humans are all cruel inherently, and that's the way the world is, and all that kind of stuff.
That character, I liked him.
Yeah, and I think
interesting.
But yeah, I think like the whole movie is kind of. I mean, I'm sure there's room for nuance and multitude of themes. But I think one of the main themes is this, if not the statement, then the question of like, again, the beginning of the movie, like, are men different from animals? Like, are humans different from animals?
Mhm.
And, are humans sort of fundamentally selfish, cruel, and evil, or not? And we see, this transformation of like Emma Stone being this like mentally deficient person who kills frogs and hits people when she meets them and does a lot of things, very selfishly and then she kind of develops, and arguably as she develops and has more sophisticated and complicated thoughts, and she starts, experiencing empathy, and she concerns herself with improvement and bettering the world and these things, she's arguably still very much acting self-interestedly and selfishly. And the final sort of section, the final scene of the movie where, I consider the movie kind of does a mini twist where it made me think that they were going to transfer Willem Dafoe's brain into the guy's body, but then we find out that they transferred a goat's brain into the body, kind of, in a way answering that question that like, no, there is no difference between humans and animals, as it were, and I think on that subject, like a movie glorifying the P word, it like that, if I don't think it does that, but I don't think it would be wrong to do that, because the whole point of the movie, or one of the whole points of the movie, is to showcase shitty things about people, in my view. Again, I'm not saying the movie doesn't give us hopefulness or doesn't have other themes or and I'm open to debating that takeaway that I had, because as I said, I've only seen it once. I don't know what I saw.
It's true.
Yeah, I don't think this movie glorifies pedophilia. I think anyone
Don't say the word.
Oh, sorry.
Good, he
Ow.
monetizes the
I
video.
wasn't.
Age gated.
Sorry.
You didn't think it was
I wasn't even-
pedophilia?
I want.
I'm saying it.
I want everyone here to
love
know that we are all
peed.
anti.
I
that.
also thought you were talking about constitutioning, not that.
Mm.
Yeah. So
Well-
either way.
Nevertheless, I apologize, Matt. I apologize, world.
Oh, the video's gonna get flagged. Okay, well, let's just enjoy the time we're here together.
Yeah, I suppose. Well, hang on. Let's pretend that it's not going to get demonetized.
Well, let's just let I have a better idea. Let's just all chip in whatever these videos usually earn Matt.
I like that. Okay.
All right.
Fair enough. Let's do it. So yeah, I what this movie kind of reminded me of at times was Spy Kids, in
How's-
terms of like the visuals and the backgrounds and the like. Are you guys remember Spy Kids?
I only remember the "Help us, save us, Louisa Madman, help us, save us." I don't
Remember the thumb people.
Remember the thumb people? Well,
Yeah.
look, if you ever go back, I'm not saying like
won't.
I've gone back, but you're gonna see the weird visuals. That look, I'm not saying this Greek guy who directed the movie drew inspiration from Robert Rodriguez.
ripped off Spy Kids, but
There's overlap here.
We'll have to
maybe
watch
they-
Killing of a Sacred Deer and see if there's hints of Spy Kids in that.
Oh, and also, I didn't
Or
realize
the
that he also did the
lobster.
favorite. He's the favorite guy.
Yeah.
There's like
Yeah,
no
yeah.
color in that movie.
is he the lighthouse guy too, or no?
That's Eggers.
Now he's the
Eggers
lobster man.
and the Lobster Man, which I've
Yeah.
not seen. But from what I know of the Lobster, it makes sense that he would do this movie as well as the Lobster.
Nah, he's the best artist to come out of Greece since Yanni.
Johnny.
Yeah.
I've heard that name in years.
So anyway, I think it's good. It also kind of reminded me of the what was it? The Slovakian or the Slovenian Alice in Wonderland.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh
God,
yeah.
It felt very European in its camera movements,
Mm.
in its setups, and I appreciated that in its depiction of the grotesque. And
It
I like
felt-
that.
The grotesque element reminded me a lot of the visuals of the guy who created the alien in Alien. I can't remember his name now, but the visuals felt very alien.
Oh, H.R. Geiger.
Yes, that guy. Yeah.
Yeah, Geiger. Oh, I love Geiger so much.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Like I was Googling to see if there was a direct influence, but there wasn't. It was apparently just
I could see that. Yeah, there's a lot of that. Yeah.
like
Maybe
those
more of
transitions,
his.
the black and white, where it's just like it's all swirly and it's Emma Stone like lying on body parts, and it says like Paris.
Yeah, it's very organic.
Mhm.
I'll say this to like if we want to just encapsulate all of the sensationalist top like right the things that could be called gratuity or the things that could be called glorification in this film. I think that those are the things that even if you don't think of it that way, which I would consider a negative direction, but like Alex definitely has a completely different takeaway of this film than I do, but that's heavily impacted by the fact that I'm a woman, right? Like that's I can't separate that necessarily from this. And not that I would want to, but if you find one of those things, you're like, oh, I think it's glorifying this, or I think it's magnifying this, or whatever. I feel like that's the thing that decides what you take away from it a lot. Like, I think that that's going to heavily impact whatever the filter is that you throw on it when you're watching it. That's the thing. Like, if it's the violence, that's what you're going to see. And that might be strictly influence, like, what you think the overall message or the overall theme of the film is. And like, for me, it's this whole concept of mother and baby and growing and men owning women and possession and imprisonment, mental imprisonment, physical imprisonment, like those concepts all balling together into what it is to be a woman in the world. Like, and that's why I went into this before we saw it saying, like, I don't know how someone could watch Barbie and watch this and say that this isn't a better feminist monologue.
Interesting.
Like, that's kind of where I came out of it, because that was the big dialogue, right? Was that Barbie was this big feminist film, and I was like, I literally felt ostracized a little bit when I watched that movie. When I watched this movie, I felt like I was seen,
Alex has his finger up.
But Jeanette, I'm curious. Would you, because when I was kind of describing my kind of takeaway, as it were, from the movie, I wasn't necessarily I wasn't like making an exhaustive list of all the different themes, right, that include the movie. So I would definitely agree with pretty much everything you said there, right, in terms of it being a commentary on women and their dynamics with men and all that kind of stuff too. But I'd be curious, would you think, because like my point was more so to say, like, the movie kind of overtly, because it has lines in it, right, where like Willem Dafoe at the beginning is talking about the comparison of men and animals, and right, it has these like directly like on the nose moments, right? So it's like that was kind of my suggestion of like, this movie does a bunch of stuff and talks about a bunch of stuff and it showcases a bunch of stuff, right? But like for me, I feel there's and again, it's like you can. Because you were the earlier point too, it sounded like you're basically saying, like, based on your perspective and your experiences, that's going to color a lot of what you take away from the movie, any movie, and any experience.
Which to me is what makes really good art, is when there's not just one message to be deciphered and then walk away with it. And if you don't figure it out, then like what?
Yeah.
That you can interpret it and take away something that really means something to you.
Yeah, but would you disagree that there's like either pseudo like objective indicators? So it's like to say, like, there's like good books and movies where, again, you can take away a million things, but everybody can kind of agree that, the author was trying to do this or that.
Yeah, for sure. And one of the things that I noticed in the rewatch that I really didn't pick up on before was not just her interactions with like the world and men in general, but that most of the people she interacted with was an archetype of a type of person. Like, not that everybody's going to fit in that umbrella, but that each person she interacted with was an archetype. But more specifically, again, with the filter I was watching it through, like, this is this type of man. Is this type of danger.
Teacher, the sleazeball,
the father, the lover, even the guy she meets on the boat. Like, most young women at some point in like their late teens, early 20s, that type time period, or their earlier, mid-teens, want someone that seems aloof or dangerous, or like, and this guy had those real like dark views of the world, and take her and show her the truth and all of that, like that type of thing. And that's it. Just it was extremely poetic to me. Even the women, though, I didn't notice it the first time. The women she met were all archetypes. So yeah, I don't know. That was something I see. And when you brought that up, had you asked me that a week ago, I'd have been like, I don't know, it's a little more flimsy than that. But like now I'm like, yeah, there's definitely like, there's pieces in this film that are speaking to humanity, not just to the individual.
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to touch on this anyway. I wanted to do a go around and see just what does everyone think the movie is about from your like individual perspectives, because that was the thing I was kind of struggling with the whole time, was just trying to identify what is this movie trying to say, or what am I meant to take away from this movie. And it made me think, but in the way that I don't want to be thinking when I watch movies. Like, I don't want it to be effort. I just want thoughts to happen and for me to ruminate, as opposed to trying to dig to think like, what is this movie giving me that other similar things have not given me? Like, what is unique about this specific picture, especially when compared to Frankenstein, but that's a separate thing I want to talk about next. But yeah, so what does everyone think the movie is about, or what did you take away from it on the first watch? I think the biggest thing I took away from it that I touched on at the beginning was just an exploration of body-related anxiety, both in terms of like, well, everything in terms of sex, in terms of just disfigurement, in terms of death, cutting the body open. And then that really came to a head, I think, when they were talking about how before Bella, who was she before she jumped off?
Victoria?
Vanessa, yeah, Victoria. That's what
found out she was pregnant, and like that caused a lot of anxiety for her as well. Like there was just so much having to do with anxiety surrounding the body, as it were, like even just death, and Willem Dafoe's character and his childhood. So
yeah, he was mutilated.
It was everyone is anxious about their body or someone else's in one way or another. Like that was my main takeaway, and the whole movie made me anxious. So I guess
about bodies.
Oh yeah. There we go. But Vince, what was your takeaway? What do you think the movie's about?
I think in many ways this movie's about, it's a coming of age tale about the embracing of one's femininity, you know, the understanding of animalistic impulses and sorting them from the desire to fit into polite society or the desire to reject polite society, you know, and there's a lot of nudity to help us through that. And
it's true.
You know what? I think it's a good movie, and I think it deals with like this message better than the way Barbie tried to shoehorn it into like the last third act.
Yeah, Barbie's terrible.
Barbie's best movie last year. Barbie's great. Barbie's amazing.
So look, I think this movie better than Barbie.
You don't hear any argument.
That's all I needed.
No. There's no comparison. Comparing.
Yeah, they're not very different. They're not very similar.
It's inherently patriarchal, the act of comparison. That's what Six taught me.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Only the patriarchy compares.
Exactly.
I would also say this movie's kind of comparable from a visual standpoint to both Oppenheimer and Maestro, in the sense that you're moving. You're going
through black and white and color,
moving through different forms of color as well to show the passage of time.
Honestly, I'm tired.
Well,
when it started, I had this moment of, do I have to sit through?
Who's everyone copying?
Do I have to sit through another fucking black and white movie that's going to turn to color? And if so, do I have to go through this whole thing again of thinking, oh, why is this a smart?
Well, I thought this movie,
and then it went into color when she discovered like her special places, as it were. I'm like, well,
yeah, as she developed, right, and as her perspective clarified.
But also, it was in color for scenes that she wasn't there for, so it wasn't her perspective.
But yeah, it was
because to those people it was just
normal,
just time. It was normal.
I don't know, right? But like I remember we had to look up for Oppenheimer because we had competing theories until we looked it up.
Yeah, I still haven't looked up exactly what it is, but I had a theory that I noticed this time around. Babies see in black and white, and then they slowly move into color. And if you notice the color, it kind of goes sepia tone for a little while, and then it's kind of dulled, and then it gets bright pretty quick.
Wait a minute, is that a true human fact?
That's a true human fact. Yeah, babies see
human fact.
In like grays and shadowy.
Like the color isn't really.
No, and then the first
I knew that they don't see far. I knew their eyes are limited in terms of.
No, but it's like shadowy tones, and then red and green are the first to show up, I think, and then everything else falls into place. So I found, but I don't know that that's true in this film, but I thought that would kind of follow our storyline and kind of give you a better idea of what age she's supposed to be.
Yeah,
at certain
that's what I
points,
took.
maybe.
Doesn't it?
I
Doesn't
don't know,
it turn to
but it's
color
still
when
black and
she's
white.
having sex with Mark Ruffalo?
Yeah, I was like, because then that's what kind of defeated it. Because I'm like, I think she's supposed to be like 6 or like 8 or 9 when she like discovers the cucumber. So oh my god, the names of everything. I'm sorry, I know
The Harry
it's
place. What is the
Harry
But
business.
Harry
the
business.
furious jumping and
Furious
the
jumping.
touch myself, make happy,
Yeah.
or make happy now, make happy now.
Fast licking
funny.
tongue clitoris.
It was so funny. The make happy now. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
So do you
I
know?
hope you make yourself. I hope you use your hand to make happiness.
Oh my god.
Although I loved old
Quotable.
lady Martha on the boat. She was so blunt when she was like, to answer your question about the hand.
Occasionally, sometimes.
Occasionally or whatever. Yeah.
I probably was sometimes.
Yeah. Good for you.
Yeah.
Good for you. old lady. And also when Mark Ruffalo went to kill her. Oh, will I be murdered now? How exciting.
Oh yeah, that was. I love.
That's
I love
so
that.
funny. I love that.
Oh,
Yes, I
That lady was a good actress.
yeah.
I like
I
her.
would say a better performance than Mark Ruffalo's Oscar nominated performance. What was with his
You
accent?
have an issue. You have too many issues. I thought he did a great job.
I
was not-
like the
it was not
accent. It
great.
was very cartoony.
The accent was
I thought
great
it was
until until his like last 15 minutes of various scenes. Then he kind of did weird like
He did.
thing.
When he was in the insane asylum,
Yeah, he
kind of was
switched.
going in and
Yeah,
out of like
yeah. Yeah.
And like I wrote down in my notes, I can't tell if I love this performance or hate this performance, or if it's one of the greatest film performances or one of the worst.
It's one of my favorite
it's
Mark
maybe-
Ruffalo's.
Maybe
Yeah, I liked it.
I like 13 going on 30.
He's okay in that.
How you got uncomfortable during this film is how I get uncomfortable in romantic comedies. Like I just
all the
I just
anxiety, all the.
Oh gosh. Oh, this movie.
Yeah.
Mark Ruffalo's performance reminded me of an SNL sketch with Oscar Isaacs called The Sexual Woman, where it's him and Aidy Bryant. And the whole idea is that Aidy is like on her 300th sketch. And so her reward from SNL is that she gets to write herself into any sketch she wants.
Yes,
So
I
she
do
tells
remember
Oscar
that.
Isaac that she has a recurring character called the Sexual Woman that every attractive male guest host is like really into. So Mark Ruffalo is doing this really pompous, terrible British accent where he's like, "Oh, sexual woman, Aidy Bryant." Then he braces like, "Is your name supposed to be in the scene, Aidy?" She's like, yeah, just go with it. Just go with it. So Oscar Isaacs as the sexual woman character was what I wanted Mark Ruffalo's performance in this movie to be.
Okay. I could see that. I liked him in this, but like I said, I just thought that
Yeah, you really
if he
like.
hadn't been nominated, like if he hadn't been nominated, I wouldn't think a second thing of it. I wouldn't
Oh,
be
yeah.
like comparing him or anything. I'd be like, that was fantastic. But because he's nominated, now I'm like,
I
okay,
wish I
well.
wanted the brothel owner to get an Oscar nomination because I love
Okay. We said every year. I wish there was. You know, there's a guest star award at the Emmys, like best guest star or
Oh,
best cameo appearance.
yeah.
I wish the Oscars had that. If they did, this woman, she blows my mind. She makes me want to cry.
I maintain she was snubbed for Macbeth as the witches.
Oh, that's where I
That's
saw
who she
her
is.
recently.
She's also
I
in the
couldn't
Harry
remember.
Potter movie. She's
Oh.
she's the neighbor. She's
Yeah.
in movie 5.
She was in a couple of seasons of American Horror Story too, which was the first place I saw her. I think I probably must have seen her in Harry Potter, but that's the first place I remember.
Oh, yeah,
She's
I love her.
good.
She's so good.
Was the old guy in the what's that movie?
Departed.
No, the movie with the director's like movie about the autobiographical movie, Spielberg's
Oh,
Fabelmans.
Fabelmans. That was that old man from Independence Day nominated in that year.
yes.
Okay, see, because that's kind of how I would categorize this one because he had remember the
Oh, yeah.
whatever, right? He had
He
He
such
got
Right.
nominated for supporting.
yeah, he had very little like time, right? He had like whatever, like 2 scenes or something.
Yeah.
So probably comparable in terms of like screen time to this lady, if not even less screen time than her. On the other hand, was her performance. I mean, she wasn't like breaking down whatever, but I agree. I thought she did a great job. I didn't like. She wasn't, like OMG, up here for me. But I thought she did a great job, and I can
It stood
see-
out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
That
I'm,
she might,
I'm still angry she wasn't nominated for all three witches in Denzel Macbeth. 'cause
Right.
should-
When was that?
he
That
shot
was 2 years ago.
Oh wow. Wow.
It was
Okay.
Oscar season, 2 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah, Disney. So that we talked about that. His timing and his tone are like completely different than everybody else in the scene. I just think it was weird casting.
Ruffalo?
No, Gerard Carmichael, the guy that she meets on the boat.
Oh,
Oh, the philosopher?
Yeah,
maybe that's why I liked him. He
Yeah,
brought,
the
he brought
tone
an
was
energy to
complete-
it that
I
I
mean,
almost
that's why-
wanted the rest of the movie to have.
Yeah, that's
When you said that,
true.
I was like, interesting, because he's the only kind of like he's the only thing that sticks out as like his tone wasn't matching everybody else. Like Ruffalo's obviously supposed to be a little bit
Yeah.
different, but I don't know.
Yeah, that's true. Everybody has like this sort of almost heightened element, right? Like
Or, like,
there's a
Fantastical. or
yeah,
whatever.
right?
I
Like
think he maybe
everybody-
sounded too modern, too like
Yeah,
as far
he
as
was
like
casual, modern.
the pacing. There was
Yeah.
nothing like
Was he one
kind of
Classical.
person with?
Yeah.
Did he have an American accent, or was he?
Yeah.
Yes,
I think he did.
I think
Yeah.
that
He
could also
did.
be it. Like
that could be it too.
Yeah.
Well, felt,
Yeah.
felt like he was reading lines, kind of.
I mean, he didn't. I mean, yeah, his role wasn't especially demanding. He just, he
No.
had very,
It also felt like his role was cut down, maybe, and who knows if it was because of this.
yeah, maybe.
Because it did feel like that character was supposed to be in it. Like we were supposed to feel more about.
Yeah, I thought initially, I just suspected that she would hop on with him, like do some furious
Mhm.
jumping with him. I was like, this is the next,
Yeah.
next, Ruffalo's boring. And then there was a little bit, I had a little bit of a nitpick with that. Like I thought it was a little bit disingenuous how or unjustified how we went from her being very much like fed up with Ruffalo on the boat to then her being like relatively accommodating when after she gave away the money and everything. Like it was brief, but like before, like between her being up, like kind of done with him and her like actually leaving him because he can't stand her whoring. I thought the movie didn't really like bridge those things. I thought it was like, why do you care? Why didn't you just leave him from at that point? Like he was boring anyway. Like just, you're not, I haven't seen anything from you that like
They address it.
was sexually attached.
The Gerard Carmichael character asks her. He says, "Why do you keep going with him?" And she says, "Because I always think it'll be better." So
Oh.
again, talking about why women stay in abusive relationships.
Yeah. Maybe maybe that's true. Maybe
Does
that's
she acknowledge it in part as well when they're in Paris, and then she admits that she has a ton of money, but she was like, I just wanted to see what would happen.
Yeah, she said, "I
Oh,
wanted
she
to
said
see
I
if
wanted you to
would
rise to the
step up."
occasion.
Right.
But
Yeah.
No,
which
I could.
again is a very late teens, early 20s way to
Yeah, I
act
saw a
with
flaw.
a person that you
wanna
are in
see
a
if it can change.
relationship with.
I also thought it was interesting that she progressed so far, and then Felicia, the other Bella, didn't, and it felt very nature versus nurture exploration to me, just to see how someone under similar experimental circumstances could develop or not develop. Like, and he even says that she's no different than the duck dog or the bird
Yeah,
dog?
big dog, chicken.
Dog chicken,
It's bull chicken.
bull chicken. Yes,
I wish that bulldog chicken was more heavily featured throughout the film. Like if she brought that on the trip with her, they could have sold so many toys.
Oh
so
my
many
gosh.
plush dolls.
I was like, why isn't the student assistant losing his shit with all these like hybrid creatures around?
because
Like,
that's the
who's
world.
that?
It's just accepted.
So can I tell
Yeah.
you, there's something they don't put in the movie that is in the book
the
that
book.
I feel like the movie's 2.5 hours. Maybe they made it and cut it.
Yeah, cut it.
His name is Godwin Baxter.
Yeah.
So you see her right? So his father, which you hear described what he did to him,
Mhm.
he made those animals. Like Godwin Baxter has made some, but his father had started that stuff. And so like that whole that's all his dad.
Yeah,
and,
yeah,
like,
it's
his
like
dad
legacy of
did
his-
all that stuff. And so like those things in the book, they talk about like people in the area know
Yeah,
about
that's
those
the
things.
house with the weird shit.
In the book, he talks about he went there, the teaching assistant or the student, whatever, went there and saw a white rabbit and a black rabbit one time. He went back the next time and there was a black and white rabbit, like down the middle. Then he went back another time and there was once again a white and a black rabbit. And he finally like asks him, like, were those the same two? And he's like he kind of
Never
I forget
can
what
tell
exactly
in
he
this
says,
place.
but he like tells him like I'm and it was because it's before he tells him about how Bella came to be. So he doesn't really want to like let on.
Give away, yeah,
spoilers. He doesn't want to give spoilers.
yeah.
Yeah.
Make him start thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So wait, like a black rabbit and a white rabbit cut down the middle?
Mm-hmm.
Ew. Not even just a
Yeah.
head transplant?
Oh,
No,
probably.
in the book it was like two. It was like then you had like two black and white rabbits, and then he went back and there was a black rabbit and a white rabbit.
I don't like that.
Yeah.
Snip,
like
snap,
that.
snip, snap,
Just
snip,
be glad they didn't show us that.
I am. I'm very glad. I appreciated, even though I didn't care to see those hybrid animals so early in the movie, I appreciated that they were there because it just very early on visually set me up for like, this is the world and people on screen don't care. So this is what
I'm not gonna care.
so you shouldn't care.
I was a little nitpicky with the scientific elements. There's
Well,
those
I don't think it's
animals
based on fact.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
There's-
well, no. I would have even taken like because all the animals were making like the dogs were making dog sounds and the pigs were making pig sounds, and it's like they don't have the lung capacity from that little
You
bird
don't know what
body.
he did. You don't know
Like-
what he did to their inside.
Also, need we not talk about how big an infant's brain is and how it would be rolling around like a
Oh,
rocket
yeah,
ship
yeah,
inside
yeah,
of a grown woman's
yeah.
skull.
Yeah, like yeah, obviously, but there's
when I saw the brain, I looked away. So I don't.
Oh,
Yeah.
that was the first blood scene in color.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
it was, you're right. But then a few seconds later, there were like the electrical pulses going into her head. So I thought maybe like the brain was in one device and it was putting.
It was weird, right? Because they didn't need to have it. Like they had her body
took
and the
it out.
baby's body connected, and I
yeah,
was
so
like,
I
that
thought maybe
doesn't
it was
make
like
any
an
sense.
electronic
No,
transfer.
they put in a new brain because they took out her brain. The electric stuff was just to get the brain going.
Yeah,
they
to
weren't hooked up. Yeah.
stimulate it. But like,
then
it
yeah,
didn't
no, that
explain-
because it
maybe
just seems so
does the book-
ridiculous to me that it could literally be the baby's brain because of size
It
difference.
is. That's what they
That's
tell
stupid.
you.
I don't like that.
I know. The science is no good in this movie. I will tell you that.
It looks cool.
It
science
looks
is
really cool.
So, on the topic of science, let's go to the Frankenstein comparison discussion because that's the thing that I think is really interesting because this has a lot of very similar beats to Frankenstein, like even just beyond person brings dead corpse or puzzle piece dead corpse to life. The whole thing of creature going away and escaping the creator and then coming back and what that interaction is. And the key difference is that here it's kind of like, what if that happens? But the reanimated thing, creature, is female or female presenting versus male. And how do we feel about that? I think it's interesting that there is such a like heavy sexualization element to it. This whole idea of like a man makes a woman and then a bunch of men just want to use her for sex. And then she embraces it and she figures out who she is. But then there's also, I think, the aesthetic argument because she is just one body as opposed to an amalgamation. So there's not the same visual terror that you get. And even outside of that, it's interesting to see how the creator, how his approach is different in this. He feels much more father-like, and that's why he lets her go, which that's the thing I found the most interesting comparing it to Frankenstein, is seeing that even though she does leave, it's a choice and the doctor is okay with it. And the doctor is equally okay with her coming back. So whereas Frankenstein, I think, has this element of like a negligent parent, this is almost like a good parent in some ways, minus moral implications of him toying with life. But I don't know, those are my initial thoughts. How does everyone feel this compares to Frankenstein?
Anyway, I'll go. So I think with Frankenstein, you do tackle that element of they wonder if he can learn. Whereas with her, when you're brought in, he's already telling him like she's learning, she's progressing, right? So I think you're starting from a little bit of a different place. And that was where I found the difference. That was how I kind of got that out of my head because I knew what the kind of like the main part, the summary of the movie was going into it. And I did worry about that, especially during the scenes where they were with the electrodes and everything. I was like, okay, well, are we going to go too far down this road? But I feel like there are enough key differences in the fact, like you said, that she's not an amalgamation of body parts. There's no question of if she can learn. She is learning. That's the whole point of the movie, right? Like in Frankenstein, we learn that he can learn too late. Like people are already all pissed off and they're coming to get him and everything. And then we see the scene of him learning how to love with the blind man and all of that, right? Like it's kind of a too little too late thing for him. Whereas for her, I don't feel like there's ever a hopelessness in this film. I feel like there's hope in even when she's having problems.
Maybe Jeanette just got disconnected like me. Twinning.
What do we think she was going to say?
You know what? If you tell me the last words.
Hey, there I
Problems.
am.
Oh my God.
Hey, yeah. I think
Whoa,
it's
like-
coming.
What's
It's going on and off.
What is that? You have like some navigational like map behind you that lights up.
Oh, that's my Tron light, but it just went out because the power's out at my house. But I'm still here because my.
We're now on
headphones
battery
are-
power.
Yeah. So you get spooky Jeanette tonight.
Nice.
Yo.
Yeah. So I don't know. I got out of the Frankenstein thing pretty early. Like I just got it out of my head. I was like,
Oh, I just kept going back to the Frankenstein thing, just thinking of it as like a what if, like what if Dr. Frankenstein wasn't an asshole, and what if he
Yeah.
took responsibility for his creation and actually took to teaching as opposed to shunning. And it's almost to me like this is an exploration of the same starting point, but what happens when the actions are different.
Well, it is actually interesting because now it's making me think. So I very much agree with you, Jeanette, in terms of when I was watching the movie, I didn't like, all those elements, like it's a very different proposition, both from a visual perspective, a bunch of body parts being sewn together, and from a neurological perspective, and from the scientist himself, right? Like Willem Dafoe is very much like he says she's progressing from a very early point. He's kind of consistently, his character is like pretty flawless when you like in terms of his recognition. Like he's
Yeah,
at
they
least
take
his
away
objective
the things.
perspective.
Yeah, they take away the things that could make him threatening. He's a eunuch. He's not
Yeah.
trying
Yeah.
to have sex with her.
Yeah, he's a eunuch and
He
he
had
can't talk.
so much violence placed upon him as a child that he doesn't sound like he's likely to place violence upon other people, right?
Mhm.
He has animals around that while they are mutilated are not dead. So like he cares for animals. He does have a lot of birds. Like there's a lot of signs in this that he is a good person.
Yeah, and yeah, potentially in that direction, but also just like he always seems to have like a clear head and a clear justification for what he's doing, and he doesn't seem to be swept away, in the same way or distracted in the same way that like a more human and perhaps like a Dr. Frankenstein would be. But now that we're talking about it, back on my theme of like humans suck. I'm thinking of like Frankenstein, like I think thematically, right? Because it's an interesting comparison because what my mind goes to is how in Frankenstein, even if Frankenstein and people thought that the monster could learn or whatever, like he's still like, it's a pretty rare, universe in which that creature, that being, is ever accepted in a society, because if not purely because of the way he looks and moves and whatever, right? I mean, save for if we were to speculate that maybe he could learn how to move more naturally or something, but either way, right, or more naturally to us, right, more normatively, but or heteronormatively, but no, like he so my point is like Frankenstein, even like with misunderstandings out of the way, I think is a story about human like prejudice and kind of crappiness and cruelty, and I think this movie also is about those things. And so it's kind of like yeah, I don't know. That's
So
it. That's it. The themes are
Well,
I guess.
How do you think switched up, or is it at all by merit of the fact that Bella's a female versus Frankenstein's creature being a man? Or
Well, but I mean, to Jeanette's point, it's kind of it's a difficult comparison to make 1-to-1 because it's not just gender different. I mean, let's just compare Frankenstein's Bride if you want, like a Bride of Frankenstein, right? Like it's not a question of comparing the two characters, in my opinion, because they're just very different. It's a very different premise. Frankenstein's monster is it includes the visual element and the matter of fact of being a collection of different corpses and looking as such. I mean, Bride of Frankenstein, I guess she kind of looks hot from what I remember, but and I remember the problem was there. I guess it was just that she
just didn't want to exist.
She didn't want to, yeah, exactly. Like she was just put in like a shitty.
And also, she was being like forced into a marriage that she didn't.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so I think the comparison with the monsters just doesn't really work because they're very different premises in terms of what their existence is like and what they have to deal with. The promise of the monster is at most he'll live in seclusion with his creator. And maybe his creator will like let him in on experiments or something if he gets smart enough and whatever. But like the promise is never to join society to experience the world. Whereas with Emma Stone's character, Willem Dafoe, like he's a pure scientist. He's not expecting any particular outcome. He's open-minded about what's going to happen. He's experimenting. He's observing.
Yeah,
it's pure observation. He's observing that she's progressing very quickly as far as he knows, which admittedly he doesn't know where things will go. But as far as he knows, she will continue to develop rapidly, and as long as she stays healthy. And I think that's also why he lets her go. It's not because I don't think he lets her go strictly because he loves her or cares for her. I think that's part of it. But I think he's also recognizing as a scientist, he's observed, hey, she's really progressing rapidly. She's she's getting to the point where she can take care of herself and handle experiencing the world. And that's never in the cards for Frankenstein's monster. So I think the more apt comparison is sort of the themes of the story and what they say about humanity and human nature, as opposed to the characters, the creators.
Do you think it's like Frankenstein?
I think it's fundamentally different from Frankenstein in the sense that with Bella Baxter, we get a more satisfying hero's journey. She travels, the Mediterranean, I suppose. She learns about the oldest profession of them all, and then she comes home and then she slays the dragon. That's her ex-husband. And
puts a goat's brain in his body.
Yeah, has a very happy ending in a polyamorous bisexual relationship, and it has a great time. And I'm happy for her because you know what? Between the two stories, this is if you have to put a lot of sexual content in one of them, it's got to be this one. I don't want to see Frankenstein whacking off for the first time. Or his monster, I mean.
Yeah. You gotta wonder, did he give him one? Because like, if you couldn't find one at the cemetery, it's not necessary.
I think he did because he is lustful. He has to come to those things.
The monster wants a companion.
If they don't cover this in that movie Lisa Frankenstein, which I intend on watching, I'm going to be very disappointed.
I'm pretty sure in the book it's confirmed that he has one because Mary Shelley refers to it as Frankenstein's monster's monster.
No. Is that real?
That sounds like a joke.
Anyway. So I think this film it starts off like Frankenstein and then, like you said, Jeanette, very quickly becomes something different, and that's a good thing.
You know what I like to say about Matt? If you're like, because I did realize afterwards everybody's going to be comparing this to Frankenstein, right? It's like, when they showed the original commercials for Animal Kingdom and they're like, it's not a zoo. That's how I feel about this. I'm like, sure, you can say it is, but it doesn't
not a
make it true.
Frankenstein. And I still think it is. I think it is inherently an opposite Frankenstein in so many ways. Most, especially just because, like I touched on,
There's
showing
a
us
lot
what
of
happens
love.
if the creation is taken care of to a certain point.
Yeah, there's more love in this story. There's
Mhm.
more love and hope than there is anywhere in Frankenstein, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So then, what is this movie teaching us about humanity? Or, yeah, what? I still don't know. I guess what the movie wants me to learn. Like, I know that it's a movie that looks really cool and has some interesting ideas. I still don't know what I'm meant to take away from it. I guess maybe humans suck. I will take Alex's point. It did establish that pretty well. And I guess humans do kind of suck at the end as well, even though it's a happy ending for her. She didn't have to put a go.
Yeah, it's happy for her.
I would
Some-
argue that I don't know. I don't see the human suck aspect anywhere. I see more positivity about humanity.
Okay.
I see more positivity about humanity. What I really liked about this movie, as far as its use of constitutioning in the storyline, was that they showed that it doesn't really change anything about the person, or even the person that is like the men that they showed. That was one of the things I really enjoyed, that there was almost no hostility shown from the men towards her in those situations. There was the man that was laughing with her, and like everybody was pretty like, and I know that's a very rose-colored view of it, and like whatever, and they do address the whole like like STDs thing down the road. They bring that up. He's like, have you been tested? No, I will, blah, 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 And so I do like that they address that, and they show a little bit of the glimpse side of it. But, and the whole point of it was to get you to that story, that part of the story where she's like, well, I don't want to do this. And on the surface, it's women in the world have to do this, right? And then the subsurface is women have to do things they don't want to because men want them to, right? But then, like, I think the thing that can speak to everyone and not just women is like what the brothel mother says to her is, through adversity, through doing the things we don't want to do, that's how we're going to find who we are, what we want to do in life. If we don't know what we don't want, like basically that whole theme of like adversity creates character, right? I thought that what it was trying to tell us, what we were supposed to take away in relation to humanity, not just, again, I could go down the whole path of what does this mean for women? What does this mean for a coming of age story or whatever? But for humanity, I would say the thing they want you to take away is that everybody wants autonomy.
Yeah.
And that everybody wants to feel loved. Like, I feel like the whole time, not that she's searching for love, like, oh, I need a man, but she's searching for companionship and socialization in the world in one way or another. And I honestly see more humanity towards her, maybe not in stereotypical ways, but like that brothel mother bringing her in a time when, respectfully so, she went in there and was like, I want to do this and I don't have anywhere else to go. And she's like, yeah, I'll take you in. And she takes very good care of her. Like, I don't, other than Mark Ruffalo's, sure, but I thought that was a good point out too. Again, yes, that everybody has a thing, right? Everybody
has a vice. She bites people's ears. That's her vice.
Or a weird thing, or even the people that take care of you are going to hurt you sometimes, like that sort of thing. I think it's just a more realistic view of the world.
Yeah.
Not so much people suck or people are awesome, but the only person I found being inhumane to her was Mark Ruffalo.
Yeah.
I really can't think of another time where someone.
What about her ex-husband?
Oh well, yeah. That was why she did the whole thing in the first place. So I guess I see that more as like a story driver, like from the beginning. Like, but yes, you're right. But I see so many more people being kind and humane and being like realistic to her in the world.
So on the topic of the ex-husband, that was the next thing I wanted to ask. Did that have to happen? Could the movie have ended with the wedding and had her be in essentially the same place in her life, just without a goat man? because I feel I'm struggling to see what it gives me as an audience member outside of a little bit of closure just to understand who she was prior to this life. But I also had no interest in knowing because I was just really invested in like, this is who Bella is now. And even that little scene, like probably in the first third of the movie where the lady says, "Oh, it's you, Tiffany." I don't know. That's not her.
Victoria.
Victoria. Like, yeah, well, I'm gonna call her Tiffany now. "Oh, it's you, Tiffany." "No, it's not." "Oh, okay." Like that was enough for me to just acknowledge that she had a life prior. And I don't know that I needed ex-husband and Goat Man into Goat Man.
Yeah, I'd be curious what we think about why she decided to leave the guy at the wedding in the way she did. I'd be interested to learn what you guys think about Goat Man and the purpose, what that says, what the movie's trying to tell us about why that had to happen, and to kind of expand on what you were saying, Matt. There is, I guess, an argument that like there's the practical element in the story that she's in the body of somebody who had a different brain previously, so who was a different person at one point. And so like there's that practical element, and they do have that scene which obviously only exists to justify the end scenes. But the movie also isn't like it's a kind of a fantastical narrative in a sense as well. So it kind of begs, it's kind of, my mind's like, on the one hand, I get why they brought the ex-husband in and kind of tied the knot, because it is like a practical element of the story that deserves to be tied in that sense. But on the other hand, the movie it's not obvious to me why the movie had to do that.
Yeah. Like
unless
I got out of it. Oh yeah.
Unless we, come up with the purpose for those two things, which I have an answer for why those things happen in the movie, why she left her student assistant guy,
why she left Max,
and also why she turned the ex-husband into a goat. But I'm going to wait to hear other answers because I've already basically given away what my answer is.
Yeah,
the
only thing I really got out of the revisitation to ex-husband was when he gave us the piece of information that when she was still Tiffany, that she wasn't into like being pregnant, and that caused.
There's also cruel, right? They established that they were cruel together.
Oh yeah. Well, I guess I didn't need to know that. I could have figured that out on my own, but But
again, there's a reason why it's in there.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
But that element of the baby and causing her anxiety as Victoria into him like wanting to actually do a full-out mutilation of her in her present state, it just solidified for me this is movie that equals anxiety about human body.
It bears mentioning that the ex-husband quotes Victoria's calling it a monster. So it's not
right, she does.
Yeah, like Victoria. So I think there might be something aside from anxiety.
Oh, baby, monster, anxiety. Like in my mind, it's all in the same mind palace. But yeah, Vince, why do you think she made him a goat, and why did she go with him in the carriage?
I guess my first thought was that she wanted revenge for driving her mother to suicide. This is still the baby. This isn't Tiffany. Tiffany wants to know why her mother had to jump off that bridge and was found by Godwin Dafoe, and I don't know. I that made sense to me. I feel like at some point early on in the script's development that they had a much tighter script, and this was maybe more featured as a heftier percentage, and then perhaps someone came along, maybe the Greek director comes in and he wants way more sex in the movie, so that adds on to the run.
Hey, there's no bush. Let's put some bush. What's going on?
Exactly.
Is that your Greek accent?
Yeah, it's a Greek accent. I'm from Greece. What's up?
That sounds like Dan
word, any word, and I will show you.
On the Euro
Now, I don't know. I feel like either give us less sex and more dramatic conclusion, or keep the movie as it is, and you don't need to give us the goat man at the end. I didn't need to see her past life, but since they did, I don't know. I guess it's okay. It just felt a little tacked on towards the end, and I think Tiffany deserved better.
Tiffany did deserve better. Tiffany deserved us not knowing anything about her. I could have written my own Tiffany story.
Well, Tiffany's dead. Okay, Tiffany's
think-
dead. But
I think the reason that they have her go back with him is if you watch this movie, right, and you're thinking about the things that they were trying to talk about whenever she first, because remember, she didn't find out too long before the wedding
Mhm.
how she came to be. And she wasn't particularly excited about it, right? So she's still having all those feelings. And those feelings
True.
must make her wonder, well, I had a life before. So there's this nagging thing. And she genuinely cares about candles enough where every time that something comes up and she goes, I can't give myself to you if I'm still, I'm having these thoughts. I'm having the first time around, I'm having these, sexy thoughts. And then the next time around is, I'm mad. I'm mad about this. I'm curious about what my life was before. And it's this aspect of, if I don't find out, I'll never know. And so she looks at him and she goes, I'm going to go. Are you okay with this? And he's like, and she's like, okay. Knowing she knows she'll be back.
she
Like,
doesn't
you
actually
can
ask
tell
if he's
that.
okay. It's implied, but like she says,
Yeah.
like,
And
you're
he
not going
looks
to
and he
stop me,
nods. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I thought that was very interesting. I thought that was a bit deeper than some of the other things of, if I don't know, then I'll never know. And I will never be comfortable where I am.
Mhm.
The goat man thing, is there a purpose? Is it a just good for her moment? I don't know, but I like a good for her
Why
moment.
didn't they put Defoe's brain in the guy's body?
What I'm thinking now, though, is I'm
Defoe-
wondering
Defoe
if when
deserves
the
peace.
moment when he gets shot in the foot, if like there's a line or something about why don't you just let him bleed to death, or she's like, I'm not going to let him just bleed to death, and she's already established that she wants to be a doctor, so I'm almost wondering if she sees that
It's
as
a
an opportunity.
It's
to,
a
like,
Hippocratic thing.
Yeah, like she gets
Yeah.
a body that she has no emotional attachment to, that she doesn't care based on what he did to her as in her
Yes.
Tiffany life. She's like, this is something I can
Yes.
experiment on freely without any moral attachment or
Yes.
any conscience, because he's
Yeah.
tried to do these horrible things to me. Also, he's injured, so I can put a goat in his
Also-
head and see what happens.
In the book, I don't think they tell us this in the movie. Godwin is the person, he's the coroner. Like, he's the person that all the bodies in town come to when they die.
Oh, that's very against them. Okay.
Yeah. So like he's getting the bodies all the time. So it's like I thought that was one of the things, because when I first watched it before I read the part of the book, because I'm still not all the way through it, I was like, this isn't suspicious. Like, this guy, like, why does he have I know he works at the college, but why does his house have the bodies? I don't understand. And then it was, oh yeah, he's a coroner. They never tell us that, but in the movie, but that's true. So it's
Yeah, and the
something
movie just
they carried
gets
over.
them. Yeah.
And do they ever establish clearly why Godwin decides to bring her to life? I remember he talks about it was like a special thing, the way you die, because electrodes were still there and like the body.
Yeah, he said, I was presented with the option. There was a dead body and a live infant, and she had just lost life. He was like, she was still warm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not perfect.
Does the movie or the book establish like what his motivations are? Is he just doing it to do it,
Science.
like a Dr. Frankenstein in the name of science, because he wants to be
It's
God?
science, but it's veiled loneliness.
Okay.
He is very, very lonely. Like, the reason he brings candles into his life is because no one will talk to him. Like, they show, like, people are revolted by him, but in the book it's much worse. Like, people are so revolted. Like, he can't really go much of anywhere.
Yeah.
He does teach, but again, like, the students mock him and all of
Candles
that.
is the only student who seems to like be
Yeah.
into music.
So, and I think that too, now that I'm thinking about it, maybe this is meant to be, maybe it's just something I'm projecting onto it. Maybe that's why he picks candles, because he's like, oh, you look past outer beauty and you like science, like you love science so much you're able to overcome what I look like.
And what Emma Stone looks like.
Yeah, I am. One cool difference from the book, that one of the ways they were able to cast Willem Dafoe was to ignore what that character really looks like in the book. He's supposed to be like hulking, like a refrigerator of a man, but still with the messed up face and the thumbs and all that. But yeah, he's supposed to be like, cool, and I just don't think it would have read as well if you put a character like that on screen in these scenes. I just don't think it would have done the same thing.
Willem Dafoe is like relatively tall, right? I feel.
Is he?
Maybe,
I
but
don't
he's
know.
definitely
He's not sure.
gangly.
Yeah, he's lanky.
Yeah.
He's like
Yeah.
thin, but that's what I'm saying. Like, I mean, like if he's
I would
tall
guess,
enough,
like-
he's like over 6 feet.
No, I would guess 5'8". I don't know.
Oh,
That's
that's
short.
that's
my-
short.
I know. That's my guess, though. Let's look it up.
I would guess like 6 at least, 6'2", 6'1".
I'll
I
give
can't
you
look
5'9".
it up.
It would be funny if they got like Brock Lesnar or like
Yeah, no,
Dwayne
exactly.
Johnson.
I don't think that you can play. I don't think that you can play
5'7".
a kind person.
5'7". Shit, he's a
5'7".
short.
Although this other one says 5'9". So I think
Either way.
5'9" is average.
I know,
That's-
I was gonna say
That's what he
6'6".
writes on Tinder.
Yeah, yeah. He's fine. Okay, I thought he was taller. Okay, yeah. No, so either way, though, but the point is that my point was going to be if you were tall, but it's still the same no matter what height he is. You can make him both tall and bulky on camera, and
Yeah.
whether it's with
Mm.
boots
But
and
I just
costume.
don't think that his
But it's worked.
fatherliness and his gentleness would have read as easily.
Yeah, I wasn't prepped for
Through
him
all
to
of
be a
that.
gentle character. I was
Yeah.
prepped for him to be scarier because I knew
He is
was
scary.
up bodies.
When
He
he
is
eats.
scary, but he was also. I felt bad when he died. Oh
I
yeah,
love
yeah.
that. Oh my God.
Wild.
why are there bubbles?
Gastric.
But that's not science.
And I love that they pop like a snake.
Yeah, he can't digest. He has to artificially put like acids and shit in his stomach, and those gases don't go through his intestines out his ass. They have to go somewhere, so they come out his mouth.
in a perfectly.
This begs the
formed-
question how he poops, but
He doesn't.
they didn't
He
answer
doesn't have
it.
to.
Yeah.
Maybe, yeah, he has perfect efficiency.
See, this movie spurs all the wrong questions. Yeah. Okay. I had another thing I was going to talk about with this movie. I don't know. Oh well, this is neither here nor there. But another thing that bothered me was the fisheye. Why was there a fisheye lens?
Yeah, I'm not
Ooh.
sure with the theory,
Ooh,
but
Jeanette knows,
let
Jeanette
us know.
So I don't know for sure. I was
Here.
kind of waiting till after we did this to find out, but because I wanted to hear everybody's theories and not be like, no, it's because of this. So I had two theories. One of them I think is debunked. One of them I thought was when she was having a learning moment, like she was learning a new thing.
Okay.
Then I realized there were a couple of fisheye scenes that didn't have her in them, namely when Ruffalo's fighting that guy in the ballroom. So I then moved on to think maybe these are moments where we're supposed to be witnessing like bookmarkable, intense emotion, or like because like it does it whenever she's discovering the cucumber. It does it whenever he's fighting the guy in the ballroom. It does it when one of the times that something like she's like growing and learning one particular thing, it happens. I don't know that that's it, but it seemed like it was.
Are we? But there's. I noticed there were two. Like there were technically, from what I could tell, 3 different like lenses. There was regular with no perspective, alteration. There was what I call fisheye, which is just the edges of the screen,
And then there was the
And then there was the
totally
keyhole.
circular.
Yeah.
Yes.
like as
So
it
the
were.
keyhole one is the one I'm talking about.
Okay,
The
because that's what I
fisheye,
thought. Yeah.
the full fisheye, the full
Yeah.
screen one. I personally think that has more to do with my original thing with the black and white, with the babies
Like as
aging
okay.
thing. I think it's because again that has to do with like blurry out
Yeah,
here,
yeah.
or dark
Peripherals, yeah.
grays and blacks and things like that. So that was kind of that.
Maybe, yeah. Did it
that
not
was
do
one of
that
my
later in
thoughts.
the movie? Like once she becomes like pretty much, full
I don't think
intelligence?
there's any of that later on. Is there?
Because my
It goes to
theory, I don't
color.
know. I don't remember. Because my theory was
I don't
that,
think there's
like,
any color fisheye.
Yeah, no?
Isn't
Is
it
there?
fisheyed when she's
There-
having the breakdown about the dead babies?
On the
And she's like
boat.
lying down and crying and on like. a
I don't
rock.
know. I don't remember.
No. Oh, maybe.
Because it can be, especially when it's close up, it can be difficult to tell, right? There were some scenes where I was like looking at
Yeah.
the items, like, is it doing it? Is it not doing
Yeah,
it?
but the little circle ones I
Circle
thought
one
were
is
moments
obvious,
of
yeah.
like intense emotion.
Yeah,
I would
agree.
love if there was just no reason and it was just Yorgos Lanthimos being like,
The scene
There's
looked
no
better.
reason. I
The scene looked better this way.
Which
Yeah.
leads into, do we think this is a well-directed movie? And that's what I'm struggling with, because it's definitely a movie that has a vision. I don't think we can dispute that. Like, it is visually beautiful. The direction makes more or less coherent sense. I think more so, at least than Maestro did, in terms of why is it color now versus black and white. But like, is does it constitute a well-directed movie for it to just make big choices and commit to them? Because that's kind of what I feel like this movie is. I think it made big visual choices, big aesthetic choices with the fisheye thing, with just the level of artistry in the backgrounds and the costuming, which are very beautiful to look at, but I struggle with how important that was and what that added to the storytelling, because I feel like it's giving us more or less a literal world as opposed to the world as seen by Bella. If it felt like it had more of a POV stance, and I could.
So
yeah,
I think not worried, but I wondered about the costumes too. I was like, I love the costumes. Why is she kind of one of the only ones in it in a costume style outfit? There's a couple other people. But in the end, I think that it's world building. To your point, like maybe it doesn't serve a purpose, but I am back to one of the things I've said about a lot of things that go this far.
Mhm.
If you take this movie and you go, okay, take out the silly costumes, take out a little bit of the sex, just take out little things here and there, disaster of a movie. I think like if you don't go all the way, then you lose it. And while we're here, I'll throw that in about Emma Stone's performance is if Emma Stone doesn't pull this, imagine this movie if that role is poorly acted.
Oh yeah.
How ridiculous and gross this movie would be
Mhm.
if we didn't feel in the moment
If Felicia
taken in. It
was the main character,
It would be
that would be terrible.
I don't know. Let's say like Vanessa Hudgens is
Oh, I like
how?
Vanessa.
But she ain't doing this, and she never has, and she probably won't. So like, I'm
Did you
just
not
throwing
see
out like
Princess Switch, Jeanette? She
I'm just
played
throwing
two
out a
roles.
Disney Channel actress that is not like could Anne Hathaway do this? Maybe.
Hey, what's his face is a Disney Channel actor, and he's pretty good.
Who?
guy-
Shia LaBeouf.
Oh, Zac Efron?
No.
Oh.
I don't mind Zac Efron. No, I was thinking of what's his face, who
Corbin Blue?
from Black Panther, the rival.
Michael
bad
B.
guy from
Jordan.
Black-
Michael B. Jordan? He's not Disney
Oh.
Channel.
Isn't
He's
he?
an HBO kid. He was on The Wire.
Oh, maybe I'm
Yeah.
conflating
He
with
was
Nick
in
Cannon.
Chronicle.
Oh yeah, Chronicle. That was fun.
Yeah, like
Yeah, Chronicle's great. It's one of my favorite movies.
Yeah.
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 Yeah,
Anyway,
so I
back
think
to your point,
the
Jeanette.
costumes are part of going all the way.
Mhm.
I think if everybody's in normal clothes and it's in today's world and there's not the weird little dirigibles and fanciful things going on, if we're like, oh, this is in our world, why aren't people questioning these things? If it's not in our world, we don't question why they don't question.
Oh yeah, in principle, like once, I only had that moment with like the animals and the student, but yeah, I pretty quickly got over it. I was like, no,
sure,
clearly,
it's Portugal, it's London,
Yeah, no,
whatever, but it's
it was
obviously
it's obviously not
some
real.
other dimension of
Yeah,
London.
not our world. I took it as perspective. Like I did in spite of what you say, Matt, of like lack of POV elements. Like I did take it very much, and I actually wrote down very similar to what you were saying, Jeanette. Like my theory was about like the visuals being a metaphor for her development, kind of going as she ages. You know,
The outfits
visuals
do
become
become
more-
less ridiculous as she gets older. If you notice, like when she's younger, it's
It's like full
frills and
puffy.
then big puffs, and then as she gets older, if you notice at the end, she's in like a pretty normal dress.
Oh yeah.
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 So I do think that's part of the aging.
Yeah, and I thought the same thing with like the camera, like with the camera as well, and the color and everything. And but my inclination over the overall question of like directing and the purpose of things, like my inclination is that this movie is very much like it's filled with purpose. So now
Oh, my lights
do I
are
have-
back. I hadn't tried to turn them back on yet. Sorry, I was like, oh.
Yeah, you know, like do I know exactly why, you know, everything is the way it is? No. Some of the things, like I think, you know, like I think the transit, like those, you know, I was looking at those sequences, those brief sequences with like the, you know, the location, Paris, Lisbon, all that stuff. Like the visual elements in that seemed to be related to what she was going through or what she was going to experience in the following sequences. I made some connections that way. So like, yeah, my inclination is to suspect that the movie is very much like purposeful in terms of everything, the music, the camera, the lenses, the, you know, everything. So, and now, is that possible? It's not, absolutely, but that's my my theory. It's all carefully planned.
Yeah, I've definitely respect the coherency of it. Like, it is a unified vision for the movie, and so I would definitely be in the camp of it's a poorly directed movie if I didn't feel like it had that unity. Just my next step in watching it and trying to be critical, which is hard, having only seen it once and having my eyes closed for like at least 5% of it, was, well, if I watch it again, now I know what to prep for. But yeah, just thinking outside of it being unified, like, what is the purpose? And I think what you're saying does make sense. I would just need to watch it again to appreciate that. I don't know if I want to watch it again, though. Brain.
Vince, how do you feel about it with Yorgos? How do you feel about Yorgos?
Look, I honestly, I put all this stuff aside pretty quickly because I just thought like this is European cinema. It's kind of weird. You know,
There are a lot of European films that aren't anything like this. For the
Oh, we've all seen Dreamers. Get out.
I know Guy Ritchie likes his fisheye lenses, so I'm like, okay, well, this Greek fella's going one step
He's a
beyond.
Guy Ritchie fan.
You know,
And Spy Kids, Guy Ritchie.
Spy,
It's all in here.
It reminded me of was the Little Prince, the claymation Little Prince. You guys remember that?
Oh
No.
my
I know the
gosh.
name.
So long ago.
Going all the way back. It has this weird claymation feel to
Yeah.
it, this entire movie. And maybe it's a tribute to that, you know?
Yeah.
It
Or
could
do you
be.
guys remember the Mark Twain claymation show?
No.
No, it was like a little claymation variety hour show featuring Mark Twain characters, and then there's this one
I can only
episode.
imagine how offensive that could get.
The personification of death appears, and it turns into this fever nightmare, and that's what this movie reminded me of. I'll post it
Whoa.
in the comments after.
Yes, please do.
Yeah.
Yeah, so look, I don't know, it just felt very European to me, and that's why I enjoyed it.
Well, I'll say this about Yorgos, right? If you watch The Favorite, the man's not shy about sexuality in general. So, like, I just think that I don't know. Like, I think that's one of his calling cards, right? At this point. I haven't seen Killing of a Sacred Deer yet, and I very much want to because it's Barry Keoghan and it's this director, and I think my brain might explode. I'm gonna like it so much. But Colin Farrell and Nicole Kidman are in it, so that
Nicole feels
balances
great.
out.
Well,
Oh,
they
yeah.
look- they're both great.
Young
I
Nicole
don't
Kidman.
care for either of them.
What about Moulin Rouge? Everyone loves Moulin Rouge except for me.
I do not like Moulin Rouge at all.
Thank God. Let's talk about that.
Other than John Leguizamo on his walking around on his knees like he does in like half the films he does. I don't know why he does that. But,
I was going to make a very inappropriate joke about how he gets jobs, but I won't.
well, you know.
Yeah, it's too late.
You
Did you see
basically have.
Dogtooth? That's the only Yorgos movie I've seen. Looking at his filmography.
No, I haven't.
This is
Oh.
That
Dog-
wasn't out on my list of ones to watch, so I will have to watch it.
I remember I've seen it once. It was also a difficult watch because of some gruesomeness that happened, but
Mhm.
yeah, I really liked Dogtooth in spite of how graphic
Yeah.
some of the scenes got. But when it comes back to world building, it had a similar level of otherworldliness, even though it was definitely on a much smaller budget. But the reason that worked for me is because it was self-contained, and the whole idea, from what I remember, is that it's like a family that's raised their kids in the house. Like the kids have never left the house, and they're adults now, and like it's this fantasy world that exists.
Like a flowers in the attic type situation.
That I don't know what that is, but I'm gonna guess yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I will say I think we can. I would say after a rewatch of this, and anticipation of the bits I've seen of Killing of a Sacred Deer and looking up things about it, I don't disagree with what Barry Keoghan said about the Stanley Kubrick relationship. Like, I think that is, especially in this movie, apt for sure.
Interesting.
So,
I'm a pretty big Kubrick fan, and I didn't draw that connection. But
because I feel
actually,
feel
with
like
2001, I can see it. But
potentially with the versatility. Potentially, like I haven't seen enough Yorgos movies. Well, I've
I
only seen
think
two, but
the use of the score in conjunction with the way it's being shot. I think the cinematography and the music mixed
Yeah, I can
with
see that.
absurd, obviously absurd subject matter, right? Like either grotesque, absurd, macabre, or overly sexual, right? Like those were things that Kubrick did as well. And I think that using those elements in the way he does, again, specifically in this movie, I agree with what Barry said about it. And I'll be excited to see how he was directed by him in that film.
Did anybody think that the beginning, at least, that this kind of gave like those like Disturbia, like not the film, but like the genre, like the, you know, like
what's the genre?
Like the whatever the I forget the name. I think it's like a French name, but like it's like films designed to be disturbing visually. So they show you like it's usually in black and white. There's like different visual elements that are designed to make you feel uncomfortable and grossed out.
Possibly. I mean, he probably gets influences from that.
So
I think for sure.
Those movies they combine like gross, like, and it's not just obviously gross things. Like it'll be like it'll be like pictures of, you know, it's similar to like the Uncanny Valley effect, if you're familiar with that.
Yeah.
Right. So like it's like those kinds of things where things that just don't. Yeah, there we are.
It's got it.
You know, and and it's usually paired with.
Why are you texting me? We're in the same house.
Alex was on the roll. I didn't want to snag his flow.
Yeah, you know, and usually it's paired up with like sounds and audio and music that's serving the same function, right? So that kind of this movie, especially at the beginning, like the very opening where we see it in black and white, and she's like playing those dissonant chords on the piano.
Yeah,
I was very much like, I'm waiting for her to like cut her wrists open or something. Like I'm waiting for like gross shit to happen any moment now, and it didn't. But it was like,
well, I mean, if you don't count her stabbing somebody in the face with a
yeah, but that took like 10,
that's...
15 minutes, and
Squish.
by then I was
Guy
like,
was already dead.
The squish.
Yeah. But exactly stuff like that, yeah, like showing
only dead ones for Bella. Only dead ones for Bella.
Yeah.
I want a T-shirt with that. Like that's
only dead ones for Bella with a man's face and like bleeded out, like
oh my
squished
god!
up.
And then just the pinching of the doing that with the
Oh god!
Yeah,
pulling taffy. Like what?
yeah.
Imagine the poor actor.
Major appendage.
And how
It probably wasn't an actor.
I want to believe it wasn't, but who knows?
I want to believe it was.
I hope he got
I
paid
don't know.
well.
That's a very realistic mannequin.
Although I mean,
Yeah, but that was a little close up. They didn't need the whole body for that little close up.
Yeah.
Yeah, just needed the.
Well, hey, can I ask this? On that note, what was
I've never.
what was everybody's favorite adult scene? If we put it that way,
like with nudity or like
could be that, could be violence, yeah, sure.
Oh.
But most of it's nudity, yeah, sure. Yeah. But there were so many different, you know, there's a guy teaching his kids, there's the Frenchman with the pipe,
there's the guy who like crawls up to her.
There's only one.
There's a guy who's thumping her leg.
One is enough. More would be too much. Plus, it's siesta time.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
What is siesta?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So, like, I personally, for some reason, love the Frenchman. I just think that the ridiculousness of how, like, small he is. And he's just sitting there with his little pipe. And then, like, the fact that it's, like, this new first thing. And then she's, like, laughing her butt off. Like, it made me feel happy, too. Because when you go into that scene, you're like, oh, no.
He was a perfect gentleman.
And then and then you're like, oh, she's laughing. This is great. So that was my favorite one.
I think my favorite was when she said, okay, this is the order of events. First you tell me a memory, then I tell you a joke. Then I was like, yeah, and there was a charm to that because
I didn't get the joke.
Oh, I didn't. Well, the joke, it was, what was it? It was
Cheese to meet you.
Aren't you glad I didn't say banana?
Yeah, but it doesn't sound. Cheese doesn't really sound like please. I mean, it sounds vaguely like please, but not enough.
No, it was a bad joke.
But he laughed so hard. It's like, why? Is it just because he wants sex? Is that why?
Well, no. Because it was establishing that it was like she was creating a safe space.
Yeah, no. I'm not saying the scene didn't make sense. I'm just saying I didn't get the joke. That's all
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
saying.
Well,
But I don't know.
sometimes the best jokes are the terrible ones, Alex.
Maybe I just wasn't. I just wanted to be in on that. I wanted to be in on like that's what's going on here. It's a terrible
it's
joke, and they
European
know it's a
humor.
terrible joke, but they
Greek
like it.
humor, Alex.
I didn't get it.
But I love that the whole point of that was to get to a sniff sniff.
You smell okay.
You smell fine.
Time for furious jumping.
Can I yeah. Can I say I feel like that is as someone who did work in a nightclub, being close to someone like that, smell is important.
Sniff's important.
Like I thought that
yeah.
was so funny that they she kept talking about it too. She was like, "Does he smell okay? Oh, here's a napkin for the smell.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
let's have
yeah.
a game for the smell." Like
Yeah.
that was so funny.
Vince,
Yeah.
what was your favorite adult scene?
I liked it was just a cutaway, a little bit of a throwaway moment, but I liked when she said that Mark Ruffalo tastes salty sometimes.
I love that scene. Oh, that's because you're talking about his
His penis, yeah. My God, woman.
Oh,
Yeah.
Alex, what was yours?
I don't know. I can't pick a favorite. They're all special. They're all special in their own way. But I am partial
Go
to
through your
the
Rolodex. Which one
I
is
am
it?
partial to the guy, monkeying around.
Schmiegel? The
goes-
Schmiegel
yeah,
guy?
little Schmiegel
Oh my
guy
God.
monkeying around.
Oh
Getting
my
close, getting
God.
far. That's definitely in my alley.
That was
Yeah.
such an interesting scene. Oh my
Yeah. She's just like laid there on the couch.
She's
And
having
some-
a great time. Again, she's laughing. She's like, this is hilarious.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's definitely a good time.
So, what was everyone's favorite Bella moment? Well, yeah, I'll just say that favorite Bella moment, either of pure bluntness of discovery. Favorite Bella moment.
Oh my gosh. There's so many.
Let's see if I quoted any Bella. I don't know if I did.
There's so many. There's quotables, but like the moments. I think one of my favorites is when she goes to that bar and she drinks herself like unconscious and then gets up and just walks around town and then stops on that balcony and that was
Vomits.
That
was after the tarts. Yeah, it wasn't. Yeah,
and
yeah.
then she
yeah.
walks around the town and then just stops on that balcony and just pukes.
Bleh,
And
and then
doesn't walk around it, steps over it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it was such a unique. I was like, why did she step over it? I don't understand.
It looked fun. It's more obvious, I guess. Instead of it's harder to like show us that she's shimming around. I don't know. But I thought the set dressing, I thought the people placed in those scenes, like at that scene, there was like two people off to the right,
Yeah.
and it was and there are a few scenes prior where I was noticing the background actors, but like certain actors weren't doing anything, and it wasn't to the point of like me being like they were doing a bad job or like. But because I was like, okay, there are people, there are old people or whatever who just sit around staring at nothingness in these little quaint towns or whatever. But I kept noticing just people who seemed primarily just positioned to be there as opposed to obviously
witness.
doing something.
Well, and I wonder if that's a perspective thing too. Is Bella's first time out in the world, is she only seeing the people that perceive her? Is she only perceiving people that perceive her?
And then if they don't
know.
perceive her, they're just kind of objects in the background or something. Maybe. Yeah. It also, I had a little nitpick with the drinking. I was like, I didn't understand why Bella was I understand if there's backstory that we weren't shown, but from everything we were shown, it wasn't obvious to me why Bella was curious to try something, because up until then, when she puts something in her mouth that she doesn't like, she just spits it out or whatever. Right. So
I think she's older by then. So when she's spitting the food out, she was still kind of young. And then she also really hadn't tried a bunch of food, but she had tried alcohol. She had tried champagne already at that point when they first got there. Yeah, they had champagne with oysters when they first got there.
Oh, okay, yeah, but she
when they first left together.
Yeah.
She had started drinking already. Yeah.
Yeah, to me, it was just the movie didn't really.
Why she goes ham one day, exactly. I don't know.
Yeah,
but
it's delicious to her, but
and it was clear liquor too. I was like,
yeah, it was just vodka or whatever. Yeah.
Oh gosh. Vince,
Yeah,
do
I
you
can't
have a
think of my
favorite?
favorite Bella moment.
Oh God! One of the quotes: "I must go punch that baby."
Yes,
I
that
love
was going to
that.
be mine. I must go punch the baby.
I must go punch that baby.
We've all thought it.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, that was
I-
so good. The way
I like
way she delivered it, and just the conviction she was cocking, whatever. And her brother was it's like,
I
why?
like-
I
I
hate
like
the
one
food.
where-
The baby's annoying. Why? What doesn't make sense here?
Vince, what's your moment?
I like one of her more innocent moments where, she takes the money and she gives it to those nice couple of ship hands at the docks, so they could distribute it among the poor. And in
That's a
her head,
terrible
it just makes perfect sense. But when she tells this to Mark Ruffalo, in his head, he breaks even more.
Yeah.
'Cause
That's not enough that she gave them away, but she gave them to the nice boys to pass along to the poor people. Yeah. Yeah.
One of my other favorite moments is actually, well, Bella's not the one who says it, but it's in a Bella scene. It's with Max, and I think I wrote down the quote. Oh no, I sent it to Alex where I ha-ha'd it. She's like, "Oh yeah," or he says, "You're free to give yourself to men however you want." And she's like, "Well, I charge them 30 pounds or 30 francs." He's like, "That seems low." The delivery of that seems low.
Yes.
It's so matter of fact, so sweet. Oh,
Well, and it's another one of those things that shows you like they have both genuinely cared for each other all this time. He's like, "Huh, no, I don't agree with that price."
Yeah.
like I love Max, even though I think Max is almost too perfect. It's like, is there a boy version of a Mary Sue? Because I think that's what he is.
So I think that's again falling into the archetypes. Like the nice guy is usually just a little too nice, but that's okay, right? Like
I don't think
in
he's
the
a
end-
perfect character myself. I think he's full
like
of
I wrote down he's the like embodiment of hashtag not all men. Like you have all these, well, I guess not.
Yeah.
We established that only Mark Ruffalo is horrible to her, but in my head I was like, all these other guys are being not great to her, but then you have like the one who's more or less like pretty morally okay.
Well, he's also not forcing her to let him be her savior. Like he is there for her without trying to save her. Like, and he does show that force for one moment. That was another favorite. But I love that. She goes,
Oh.
what did she say?
Oh, yeah.
I'm heated.
Yeah.
I like different Max.
Yeah,
So-
the different Max that I haven't seen before or whatever.
But yeah, I thought it was just like he in no way is trying to control her destiny.
But he's also not doing that in like a perfectly enlightened way either. It's not like he's coming to her as
No.
like a Buddhist monk being like, I have determined the path.
No.
And the path
He
says
just
that
does
you are
it purely
right.
out of care for her, like out of love. Like
I also think out of fear though. Like I think he's not like he has like he's not necessarily I don't know. To me his character comes off as like somewhat cowardly. Not that I think he should have like, and maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's just that like men are typically portrayed as like, more.
Well, I think that's
more
what we're
aggressive.
supposed to realize is that when a man doesn't run to a woman's defense, we consider him cowardly, even if the woman doesn't want that defense.
Yeah, no, but it's like it kind of like we don't. I guess what I'm saying is not so much that like it's not so much the way he was behaving with Bella that struck me. It's more so we don't see him behaving in different ways outside of that either. It's like it'd be one thing if he was like assertive and courageous in other aspects of his life and was different with Bella, but we don't always see is sort of this limited
No,
context.
the only time we really see him be assertive is whenever he's in class and those people are mocking Godwin. And he's like,
yeah, I guess, yeah, and he's just standing up for,
he does stand up for it,
his principle in that scene.
Yeah, but he does say he does at one point act like, oh, I'm gonna go.
Yeah.
She shows him this is not what I want from you.
Yeah.
By chloroforming him, but it's not a subtle gesture.
Yeah.
I think what I appreciated with Max is that his attitude towards her didn't really change between when she was like super innocent Bella versus Bella has now experienced.
Yeah, that was the thing too. It didn't matter that it was almost, and again, it was, it didn't matter, and it didn't come from a place of like, again, I'm like enlightened and I realize that these are all trivialities. It just came off as he didn't care because he couldn't care because he had no power to care. If he did care, he wasn't going to change anything. He wasn't going to force anything upon her anyway. So I guess maybe
Why
my
do you think he had no power to care?
well, I meant more so in the sense of like if it's like that's where I use the term like coward or fear, like because that was my perception, as in like he didn't seem like an effective character, like he couldn't affect the world around him with his influence. He had no influence in the world. He was there.
There's a lot of I did notice that on this rewatch. He didn't without him in the story. It's not the same story for sure. Like he does play a role, but he doesn't move any of the parts.
Yeah, he's kind of
He
like
is a part that's moved.
Yeah. He's the thing that she's betrothed to. He's the thing that
he's
whatever.
the thing that brings Mark Ruffalo into the equation. He brings us back.
Yeah. So it's like if anything, I would have, I would have been open to more of him to flesh out that character a bit more, so I get a bit more of like a complete sense of who he is, as opposed to just this, thing to, for Bella to play off of, as it were.
Yeah. All right. Anything else we want to discuss before we do the game?
The game.
No, I'll save mine for closing thoughts.
Okay. Vince, Alex.
I liked the movie. I think Bella deserved to end up with, the guy that she can walk all over, and it's good. I think this guy, what's his name? Max Candles.
Yeah.
He has a lot of similarities to the husband in Anatomy of a Fall, but in this sense, he's so much better for her than the guy from Anatomy of a Fall was for the German woman.
Yeah,
And
a little bit more enlightened, I would say.
yeah, I'm happy to see these two together, and of course her hooker friend from France shows up at the end.
Her friend from France.
Absolutely, I think they shared a tender sexual moment.
Yes.
And I'm sure continue to this very day. So good for them.
Yeah.
I'm happy. I think it was a good movie. I think the execution was pretty good. Felt a little like Spy Kids, but I mean that in a good way. I will say I watched like a featurette, like the special effects, and all of the weird colors in the sky on the ship. Those were like on screens while they were shooting.
I believe.
Like,
that.
They filmed in a volume?
Yeah. Like those are on
Oh.
giant screens, so it's not like they're in a big green room when it happens, which I kind of appreciate.
Oh, that's
Oh, so they
even
made
better. That's
DeLoreans?
more.
Yeah.
That's the volume.
Oh, I didn't know it had a name. I guess, of course, it
Yeah.
is. The volume.
Volume of water.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
the
would
volume was way up.
have called it the TV screen room. Is what I would have called it.
I do love that type of filmmaking way more than green screen.
Oh, for sure.
Mhm.
I'm not a fan of green screen, unless it's Mary Poppins, but that wasn't green. That was copper. I have a video about it. So for tonight's game, it's inspired by the fact that Emma Stone is in a very tight race with Lily Gladstone. It's the Battle of the Stones. So tonight you're going to identify different types of stones.
Oh
Sedimentary. No, that's not the game.
no, I was like, please don't do that to me.
No, it was difficult to come up with a game, but I found an article that actually inspired the game, which was talking about previous years where SAG and BAFTA have been split on who they give Best Actress to, because usually there's a unity there, and that predetermines who's going to win the Oscar. And this is one of the rare years where one of them won SAG, one of them won BAFTA. So the Oscar is truly a coin toss. So I am going to tell you a year and two performances from two actresses. You have to tell me who won the SAG, who won the BAFTA, and who won the Oscar in this pairing. Because these are years also where we had two actresses who were very much neck and neck, and it was ultimately split. So I will tell you the movies. I'll tell you the years. You just have to identify who won the SAG, who won the BAFTA, and who won the Oscar.
Question.
Yes.
Will the answers necessarily be different, or are some answers like basically will it always be a different actress?
Yeah, because it's the years
like-
where they were split, right?
Yeah. So if we were playing for this year, but in the future.
Yeah. It'd be Lily, Emma Stone, and the answer would
Lily
be
Gladstone in Killers of the Flower Moon, Emma
Yeah.
Stone in Poor Things. Then you would say, Emma won the BAFTA, Lily won the SAG, and
and Lily won the Oscar.
Yeah.
Yeah, gotcha.
Okay.
So here we go. The year is 2001. Halle Berry. Halle Berry. I almost said Bailey for Monsters Ball, and Judi Dench for Iris.
Oh, okay. Well, I know one of these at least.
Yes. Who won the SAG? Who won the BAFTA? And who won the Oscar?
And what was the one that's not Hallie?
Judi Dench in Iris.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Let's start with Vince.
Okay, I am writing down that Dench got the SAG.
Okay.
Bailey, Dench
You
got
got-
the BAFTA. Bailey got the SAG, and Dench got the Oscar.
Okay. Jeanette.
I have Halle Berry getting the Oscar, Halle Berry getting the SAG, and Judi Dench getting the BAFTA.
Okay. Alex.
Same as Jeanette. SAG, Berry, BAFTA, Dench.
It was SAG, Berry, BAFTA, Dench, Oscar, Berry. Well done. Well done. Well done. All right. Next to that. Where'd Vince go?
He was ashamed, so he left.
No, Vince, it's okay. You're only 1 point behind.
It's okay. It's just Halle Berry.
You can come back. It's just Halle
That's right.
Berry. That was an intense
I'm back.
speech, though. She was crying a lot. Yeah. All right. Yay, Vince is back. Okay. 2002. Renee Zellweger in Chicago and Nicole Kidman in The Hours.
Ah.
Renee Zellweger in Chicago, Nicole Kidman in The Hours. I wouldn't even categorize Nicole Kidman in The Hours as a lead actor or actress, but apparently they did. Oh, yeah, but she wore a nose. Wear a nose won an Oscar.
Can I tell you how much I don't like either of these actresses?
I didn't know you didn't like Renee.
It's, you know what it is? It's the the squinty eye.
yeah.
It's Michelle Williams, Renee Zellweger, and Nicole Kidman's eyes are all about beep beep.
But Renee in Chicago was so good.
I can't take any of them.
It was where like the squinty eyes and the soft baby voice and everything. It was perfect. It was very Roxy Hart.
It works
Oh,
for
that's
Clint Eastwood.
Exactly. But only if you get really close.
Yeah.
Yes. I was about to reference when we talked about that movie on this show, but none of you were here for that, sadly. It was a good week. Yeah. All right, let's start with Alex.
SAG, Renee, BAFTA, Kidman, Oscar, Nicole.
Hey, Vince.
BAFTA, Zellweger, then SAG goes to Kidman, and the Oscar went to Kidman.
Okay. Jeanette.
Oscar Kidman, SAG Zellweger, BAFTA Kidman.
That is correct. SAG Zellweger, BAFTA Kidman, Oscar Kidman. It also
It's like
just
BAFTA's calling it.
yeah. BAFTA, it feels like both of these movies, the BAFTA has gone to the person whose like heritage is more closely aligned to England.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, well, and not just that, but the more serious role. Very rarely will
Yeah.
they, like, they'll always give it to the more serious person, I feel. Whatever movie was more serious.
I can't give spoilers. So
I
never
can neither
mind.
confirm nor deny
Nothing else.
this hypothesis.
2003, we have Charlize Theron in Monster and Scarlett Johansson in Lost in Translation.
Okay.
I've not seen either of these movies.
Oh, wow.
You haven't seen Monster?
You haven't seen Lost in Translation? Would have been my reaction.
I know, that's most people's reaction would be you haven't seen Lost in Translation.
I feel like if I were to guess
which
which of those two movies I'm more likely to see, it would be Lost in Translation.
Lost in Translation, yeah. But literally, I've never met a man that doesn't like that movie.
Lost in Translation, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
They didn't even finish the script.
How'd they make the movie?
Yeah, the last line, they don't tell you what it is.
No spoilers. No spoilers. Is it?
Don't
I'm here to
worry,
see my
you're never going to
gynecologist?
find out.
I'm here to
That's
see my
what the
gynecologist. Yeah, Barbie
That's
reference.
what the screenwriters said too. No
See,
spoilers.
it's interesting though. That's interesting. I don't know if I'm gonna get this one right. This might
Let's
be
start
my-
with Alex because it's interesting.
Whatever. SAG, Scarlett Johansson, BAFTA, and Oscar, Charlize.
Okay, Jeanette.
Charlize for Oscar, Charlize for SAG, and Scarlett Johansson for BAFTA.
Okay, Vince.
I believe
Excuse me.
Charlize got the BAFTA, and Charlize won the Oscar, but ScarJo got the other one,
The
the
SAG?
SAG.
The SAG actually went to Charlize, who also got the
Sweet.
Oscar.
Yeah, I
Scarlett.
remember
Johansson.
that.
Yep.
But wouldn't Monster be the more serious film?
Yeah, I know. That's weird. It's an inversion.
I
of the
know.
rule we
That's
just-
why when I saw your face, I knew to.
Next, 2004, we have Hilary Swank in $1 Million Baby and Imelda Staunton in the Harry Potter movie. No, in Vera Drake. I don't know what that is.
What was the first one again? Oh,
Hilary
Swank.
Swank
Okay.
in $1 Million Baby. What's so funny, Alex?
Because it's kind of like, I don't know, it's a bit of a
What was
giveaway.
the second movie?
Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix. No, Vera
Oh,
Drake.
that literally.
No.
Oh,
Can you imagine
What
if
is
she won an award for being
Heroes. What?
Who?
Hero.
Vera Drake?
Oh,
Vera Drake.
Vera.
I've never heard of her.
I don't know what that is.
What's the actress's name for that?
Imelda Staunton. She is the actress who
Oh.
played Umbridge in Harry Potter 5.
Hey, that was a good performance.
Oh,
Oh,
that
it's great.
lady.
And she's
Okay.
also the queen in the most recent seasons of
Crown.
Yeah. And she was Mama Rose in a much acclaimed production of Gypsy in England, which was recorded and is available on Blu-ray, but I haven't seen it. But it's a thing that happened. Okay, let's start with Vince.
Yeah, I think Vera Drake won the BAFTA,
Huh?
and then I think Swank won the SAG, and I'm
Okay.
pretty sure Swank won the Oscar.
Okay, Jeanette.
Swank for Oscar, Swank for SAG, and Vera Drake for BAFTA.
And Alex.
Same.
You are all right. That's what happened.
Yay! I remember all of these Oscars. Jeez.
I'm very impressed. I don't. 2007, we had Julie Christie for Away From Her and Marion Cotillard as for La Vie en Rose.
Oh.
Yes, Away From Her was directed by Sarah Polley, and I think it might be a Canadian film.
What was the actress's name in it?
Julie
Oh.
Christie.
Matt, did you know that Sarah Polley is in the talks with Disney to direct live-action Bambi?
Bambi. I thought that was Greta Gerwig, but Sarah Polley makes more sense.
Oh,
Why
they gave
do
it
they
to
want-
Gerwig.
No, I think I just saw I saw the announcement and knew it was a female blonde movie.
Well, if Greta Gerwig
Hmm.
gets it, the mom won't die. The dad will. So
Patriarchy.
does she know that Bambi's a boy?
Maybe. We'll
I
find
didn't
out.
think she made movies about men.
No, wait, does she? No, wait. Lady Bird had guys in it.
So does Barbie.
That's true. And they're the ones who get the Oscar nominations. As it
Well,
should be.
Bella Baxter had more guys in her than any other character, so
Okay, let's start with Vince. Vince, who?
I think Couliard got the BAFTA. I think the other one got the SAG, and Couliard got the Oscar.
Okay, Jeanette.
Cotillard got the Oscar, the
Oh,
SAG,
shit.
and then Christie got the BAFTA.
Oh, wait, hold on. Okay, Alex.
I think I'm going with a Vince way. I didn't bother with the names because F that. I did Away, Rose, Rose.
I think you're right. So Julie Christie got
Or SAG.
for Away From Her.
Yeah, and then
And
Couliard
Rose
or
was
whatever
BAFTA
got
and
got an
Oscar. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. 2008, we have Meryl Streep in Doubt and Kate Winslet in The Reader.
Oh,
Oh,
Who was the first one?
Meryl
Oh.
Streep in Doubt, the Nun movie,
Shit.
and Kate Winslet in what year was this?
2008.
Okay. Mm,
Whenever I think of The Reader, I think of Hugh Jackman's opening number from that year at the Oscars when he does a song and dance about each movie, but he didn't see The Reader, so it goes all techno. He's like, I didn't see it.
yeah.
It wasn't at the theater.
I did like that. I miss big Oscar openings.
I know. Well, maybe Jimmy Kimmel will do a musical number. You never
I know.
It
I
won't
do. I
know.
miss the Billy Crystal musical numbers. Those were so good.
Oh, that was before my time.
Oh God, I miss Billy Crystal hosting the Oscars.
Maybe one day he'll come back. He won't. No, I want James Franco and Anne Hathaway to do it again. That was the best year.
I wanted James Franco to be so good. He was so not.
Went
No
down
way.
in history as almost a career killer for everyone involved. It was great. Jeanette, what do you think for this one?
I've got Winslet for. I scratched it out and wrote it above it. Winslet for BAFTA, Streep for SAG, and Winslet for Oscar.
Okay. Vince?
I put Winslet for BAFTA, Streep for SAG, and Streep for the Oscar.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a tough one. I'm with Jeanette. Winslet SAG, Streep BAFTA, Winslet Oscar.
That's the way it went. It was,
Yeah.
Streep SAG, Winslet BAFTA, Winslet Oscar. Because, Streep's only won 3 times. Well,
I was going to say, like, she's nominated, 26 times, but she's really only won, 2 or 3.
Which were, what are the 3? It's Kramer versus Kramer.
I was going to say one's Kramer
Iron
version.
Lady.
One's more recent.
Iron
Yeah.
Lady.
Titanic.
The Thatcher
No,
movie. But what's the
Streep.
third? Wait, what? What did you say?
He said Titanic.
Yes, Titanic. Actually, Winslet, I think, was the only person not nominated for Titanic. It was really awkward. Like Leo was not. I think Leo was nominated. Old Rose was nominated for
No,
Best Supporting.
Leo wasn't nominated
Was
till
he
later
not?
in his life. Yeah.
Yeah.
Leo was nominated and Leo wasn't.
Yeah, I think that was the case. He was still very young.
That's true. I want to watch Titanic now. 2009, we have Sandra Bullock in The Blind Side and Carey Mulligan in An Education.
Oh, okay. Well,
Oh, looking ahead, I'm realizing I've spoiled some of these. Oh, well.
have you?
Well, we'll
I
get
don't
there.
know.
We'll get there.
Who was the first one? Mulligan, and what was the first one?
Sandra Bullock in The Blind Side.
Bullet. Okay.
She should have been nominated for Miss Congeniality. The world's not ready to have that.
That's a fun
Oh my
movie.
God! Can you imagine if the Oscars had a Miss Congeniality
Category.
Oh my God! We like an actual nicest guy and nicest girl in Hollywood.
Who would win?
Oh my God!
Would be Ryan
Well,
Reynolds.
I'll tell you, I've heard Jennifer Coolidge throws parties where just tons of people show up and she's super nice and people sleep over at her house and stuff.
I
Yeah,
wanna go to a
and which is
Jennifer
not
Coolidge
surprising.
party.
I know. I want to go to a Jennifer Coolidge party.
I hope she's watching. Please invite us, Jennifer.
Oh,
Vince, let's start with you.
I think Sandra Bullock got the BAFTA,
Okay.
and I think Mulligan got the SAG,
Okay.
and Bullock got the Oscar.
Okay. Alex?
Similar but different. Bullock got the Oscar and the SAG, and then whoever was in the Education movie got the BAFTA.
Okay. Jeanette?
same as Alex's. Bullock for Oscar, Bullock for SAG, and Mulligan for BAFTA.
That is correct. The Alex answer is the right answer. Words I don't say often, even though it may be true. Rarely will I admit it. Next, 2011, Viola Davis in The Help and Meryl Streep in The Iron Lady. Viola Davis in The Help and Meryl Streep in The Iron Lady.
Now hold on. You said you spoiled some,
They both win.
but I don't think your spoiling was factual. I'm gonna risk points on it. Feep. I just wrote Feep. not
Yeah,
Streep.
Emma Stone was also in The Help. Keep forgetting about that. She was the least interesting part of The Help.
Yeah, no, it was like 2 years it took me to realize it was her and some other actors I really like.
Jessica
are in
Chastain
that.
is in it and very unrecognizable as well.
Yeah, like all the white ladies in it. I was like, it took me like 2 years to realize. I was like, oh yeah, I like that.
Yeah, I love Jessica Chastain though. What a good actor. For more Oscars.
She was great in Interstellar.
Yeah, yeah.
Was anything good about Interstellar?
She was, but she was only in like one memorable scene. Then
I
Matthew
get Interstellar and Gravity confused, and Gravity is an awful. awful.
I like Gravity.
Gravity.
Gravity's
Oh
Oh
my
my god!
I saw Gravity in IMAX on opening weekend, and I have no
Sandra
regrets.
Bullock and Clooney, they're great.
Yeah.
Oh my
And there's no
God, it
sound in space. It's great.
Puts him
I
away
am
and he
convinced
floats.
George Clooney should never be in sci-fis because the last one I saw him in before, actually the last two before that, Tomorrowland and Solaris. both
Solaris is
awful.
good.
Solaris is a great movie.
Tomorrowland is so
This is
good.
awful.
Tomorrowland is great.
Uh,
What? What?
Oh my god, this is so funny. I'm sorry.
Solaris or Tomorrowland?
No, so I'm saying Solaris. They're both bad, but Solaris, I remember.
Oh no,
going
but
to see
they're
in theaters.
they're defending the wrong movie because it's Tomorrowland that we love.
I never saw
They've never
Tomorrowland.
seen Tomorrowland.
I can't
Yeah,
say.
I can't talk about.
It's a great movie. You're missing out. Okay, let's see what our answers are. Let's start with that.
Okay.
All right, Viola for the SAG, Streep for the BAFTA, Viola for the Oscar.
Wait, say that again. Hold on.
Viola for the SAG and the Oscar.
Okay.
Streep for the gosh darn BAFTA.
Okay. Vince.
I think Streep wins the BAFTA, and then Davis takes the SAG and the Oscar.
Okay. Jeanette.
Same. Streep for BAFTA, Davis for Oscar and SAG.
Oh, Streep won the Oscar.
Yeah, I really.
Yeah, for
Damn.
Viola must have won.
The Iron Lady.
Who won
Viola-
from the help?
It's racist, is what's going on
Octavia
here.
Spencer won for The Help for supporting.
Well,
That's
see, I was banking on reverse racism.
Oh, never mind. I take
And
back
I
my
thought they
racist
both won.
claim.
no. I'm
Yeah.
taking because I thought it was 1-1 for leading and 1-1 for supporting.
Supporting.
No, they were nominated. No, I think Viola's
Wow.
win was for Fences. I think,
I was gonna say she won sometime very close to there.
Yeah. and she was not. I'm fairly certain she was nominated for Doubt. She might have won for Doubt as well.
Maybe I think definitely Fences. If she was in that, then
Fences is
that won a lot.
Fences is my go-to for like the best acted movie I've ever seen. For like all actors. Yeah.
Wow.
I need to rewatch it though. But I remember watching it and just being awestruck midway through, thinking this might be the best film acting or acting I've seen anywhere ever. But it's just like it's Viola Davis and Denzel Washington yelling at each other. You can't give me any more than that. It's so good. And then
What
the
about
rest of them are
Winslet
great
and
too.
is it DiCaprio? What's that movie where it's Kate Winslet and somebody else
Oh,
who live together? Not-
Revolutionary Road.
no, they're in,
Kate
I
Winslet,
forget.
Children, not Titanic. That other movie.
no. They're in a house. She's like a couple.
With Patrick
State of Virginia Woolf.
No,
Little Children.
maybe Little Children. That sounds familiar.
Yeah.
Anyway,
And she has an affair with the guy from The Conjuring.
Patrick Wilson.
Pat Wilson, yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe.
No.
Maybe.
Yeah. 2012, we have Jennifer Lawrence for Silver Linings Playbook and Emmanuel Riva for Amour.
Jennifer Lawrence
For Silver Linings
of
Playbook.
Hunger Games fame
Correct.
in 2012.
Correct.
I don't think she won an Oscar in 2012. That'd be crazy,
Okay.
right?
Then
Well-
process of elimination tells you it was the other person, doesn't it?
But I have no idea what Jennifer Lawrence has won, so I could be wrong.
If you want another bad sci-fi movie that I really, really wanted to love going
Passengers?
into it, Passengers. I love Chris Pratt and Jennifer Lawrence. Like I absolutely, and that was bad.
Isn't
That
it
was also one of the
creepy?
worst
Isn't there a creepy
endings.
factor?
No, not really. No, the ending was just it
Silver
was
Linings
so
Playbook is
predictable.
well known, so
Let's start with Vince.
I think J Law won the Oscar, and then the other one won the other ones.
wait, what? Which one?
I
she,
mean-
she needs to get a SAG or a BAFTA.
No, she gets a SAG or a BAFTA and the Oscar.
Yes.
Oh yeah. Okay. I think let's give J Law the SAG then,
Okay.
and the other one gets the other one.
Hey, Jeanette.
Riva got the BAFTA, and I think Lawrence got SAG and Oscar.
And Alex?
Yeah, same as Jeanette.
That's correct. And now,
Wait.
finally, to bring things full circle, back to Yorgos, 2018. Glenn Close in The Wife, and Olivia Colman in The Favorite. I was going to say a fun fact about this, but I will in a second when it's not a spoiler.
Who's the one that's not Glenn Close?
Olivia Colman,
Ah, Coleman.
who is
Yeah.
also one of the Queen Elizabeths on the crown, the
Yeah.
middle queen.
Yeah.
I wonder how many Yorgos movies Emma Stone's going to end up being in. She's only been in 2 so far, but I
And
feel like
she's in
they
his next-
really,
in his upcoming one. So she's like
Yep.
his new person. Yeah.
she's his muse. Yeah.
All right. Let's start with Alex this time around.
All right. And in lieu of names, wife for Oscar and BAFTA and favorite misspelled for SAG.
Wife for Oscar and BAFTA. Okay, cool. Vince?
I think Close got the BAFTA. I think Coleman got the SAG.
Okay.
And I think the Oscar went to Close.
Okay. Jeanette?
Coleman for the BAFTA, Close for the SAG, and Coleman for the Oscar.
That is correct.
I don't know what that means.
That means that you were wrong on this round.
For everything?
Yes, for everything. You were as wrong as you could be, and
Okay.
Jeanette was as right as she could be. Because that was the year when everyone was convinced Glenn Close was finally going to win her Oscar because she's never won.
It was also the
And-
first year Olivia Colman had her run of like 3 or 4 years or something like just being like killer for like X amount of years.
Wait, hold
Glenn
on.
Like,
Close
won an
hasn't won
award.
an Oscar.
Never. Nope.
That's a goddamn crime.
Yeah, it is.
God damn it.
It is. How does she not? How do you not win for Fatal Attraction? Like, were those movies just not nominated then? Like, I'm
How
just
do,
like,
you not,
how
how do you not win for Cruella DeVille?
Yeah.
She was
Yep.
so good.
she
maybe
is
she
Cruella.
needed-
Like in my mind, she is Cruella Deville. Like she
Exactly.
just is.
So our bonus question for tonight, hold on, let me double check how many points we all have.
Is it a SAG BAFTA Oscar question?
You made me lose count. No. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, God damn it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. And that has 27. Alex has 24. Vince has 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 18. How many points do we all want to wager?
All of them.
All of them. 0, Vince?
I'm betting none.
Okay.
Gotta bet
Alex?
something.
I'll bet.
It's like Jeopardy.
No, you don't have to bet anything.
You had to bet
Actually, no, you
$1.
yeah, you have to bet at least one. At least one.
Okay, but not in Jeopardy. I will fight you on the
Oh,
Jeopardy
it's
rules.
Price is Right. It's Price is Right.
Okay, then I will bet 2.
2. Okay.
I will bet 11.
Ooh, I like that. All right, your answer will be a number. To get your wager or to not lose your wager, I need the number to be exact. So not within
Closest doesn't count.
No, closest doesn't count. It needs to be all or nothing. How
All
many
right.
Oscar
Okay.
nominations does Glenn Close have?
How many Oscar nominations does Glenn Close have? Really?
Who's Glenn Close?
Cruella DeVille, live action Cruella DeVille.
I never saw
Fatal
him.
Attraction?
She lost. the
Fatal Attraction I
Oscar.
probably have seen, but I need to.
No, you haven't seen Fatal Attraction. Because when we
Okay.
were at the Wax Museum, there was a Fatal Attraction scene, and then I described the movie to you, and you said, "That sounds awesome. I want to see it."
But I never did.
No, you didn't.
Okay. All right, I guess.
Is that it? Is that the only 2 movies she's ever been in?
She's been in
No.
at least. I was about to say a number, which
Say
is
the number.
It's,
She's been in
um,
many films, but
Oh, it's her.
Attacks. Mars Attacks, dude.
Oh yeah, Mars Attacks. You love
She's
Mars
the
Attacks.
president's wife.
Yeah. Yeah, I recognized her when I looked up her picture. I don't know her name. Gosh
You
darn
can't
it.
be looking her up right now.
I'm just looking at her face.
Yeah, like
I'm
her
done. I'm not
body.
looking anymore.
Yeah, Dangerous
Uh-huh.
Liaisons.
I was
She's
looking
in
at
Dangerous
pictures.
Yes, Dangerous Liaisons. Yep.
Oh,
No, No, not you haven't seen that. Oh,
I've never
okay.
seen
No, it also sounds remarkably close to Fatal Attraction.
That's kind of what she
Like a
did in the mid to late '80s. Yeah,
Dangerous
like in the,
liaison.
She had a
the
thing
mid
that
to
she was
late
really good
80s.
at.
Deadly play date.
Her and Sharon Stone were cornering the market on femme fatales.
So, how many nominations has she won
Had
in her
in her career.
lifetime?
Yeah.
No, how many has
Oscar.
she had nominations that she didn't
She's
got?
lost all of them. How many times has she lost
Yeah.
an Oscar?
And oh yeah, that's true. She never won.
She's never won. Let's start with Vince. Vince, what was your guess?
I'm guessing a cool 7.
Okay. Alex?
Let
Let him look it up first. Hold on.
13. It's arbitrary.
Okay. Jeanette?
5.
5. Our winner tonight is Vince.
Was it really
What?
7?
No, but he's left with
You
six
just you
points.
said closest
You
doesn't
said
win.
it has to be exact.
I
No,
don't-
it doesn't
I
have to
would've-
be exact. So you all lost your wager, but Vince only wagered 2.
Oh,
left
he
with
only
16
wagered.
But I'm he had 14. He'd be
Oh,
left
he had
with
18.
12.
He had
But you
18.
win.
He
He
wagered.
didn't have 18. Oh, he had 18.
I had
miscalculated.
18.
I tried to only wager enough that I would win if I lost.
Oh no, that
Let's go back in time.
okay.
Let me wager the
failed.
correct amount of points.
So
You get-
if you had heard
I
that
could
he had
win.
18, what would you have wagered?
You
Well,
failed.
he
You
would have
get
wagered
nothing,
2, so it would have been
sir.
16. I had 24, so I'd have wagered 7 to have 17.
Alex, you won with 17.
This is rigged. This
Wait, hold on.
this
You
is
gotta
more
announce
rigged
that.
than the Iowa caucus.
No, Matt, you have to announce it the right way. You have to open it and say
Oh, you're
this,
right.
and then close it, and then go, oh, wait, no, hold on. It's out.
Well,
I'm
no,
hearing
that's
that
the one
we've had
behind
some
you, technically.
technical difficulties during the wagering section
So
of
what
our
does that-
show.
What does that mean? That Vince is La La Land and Alex is Moonlight? Is that?
Yeah.
Vince is Adele
I am
Dazeem.
ready to go January 6th on
And I'm
this
the
whole
Demon
operation. That's what that means.
I'm so happy that's
Top
on
of the
board
steal.
now. There
Oh
we go.
god.
But no, Vince, you won. You won, Vince.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
well,
And
of
also,
course.
Vince won by merit of being one one away. It's 8.
Oh, wow.
So if we were doing closest, he would have won anyway.
Yeah, but I would have
lost 8 times.
just guessed optimally and been either one below or one above him, which very well
Yeah,
could have been.
yeah, but no, she's lost 8 times. Will she win in her lifetime? Who knows? She's getting up there. She's getting up
And
there.
I would have voted A because I thought his answer was too low.
You know what I want to see happen? I want the Sunset Boulevard movie to happen, which they've been talking about for over 20 years, like 20, maybe almost 30 years.
A remake.
I want her to get to be Norma Desmond because I think that's what's going to happen if the movie ever does get made. And that should be the one movie she wins for. And then she should die on stage while accepting it. Like that is the
Amen.
perfect way to go.
Because
At
we all know how good that looked for Elizabeth Taylor.
what?
She
Which-
died on
the
stage.
times they would no, but might as well have the times that they rolled her out on stage and she was talking so incoherently and like
Yeah.
fucking like.
Are you sure you're not talking about
Ah.
Liza Minnelli like a year or two ago with Lady Gaga?
No, I do remember that, but no, I'm talking. Look it up. Elizabeth Taylor had a time at the Oscars. They rolled her out there and or they made her walk out there. It was no good.
What's the Jewish guy up to these days?
Bernie
Um,
Sanders.
No, Mel
Steven
Brooks.
Spielberg.
Mel Brooks.
Oh,
Winning Lifetime Achievement Awards.
Yeah, he's one of those guys who's like, I'm gonna do it till I die, till I drop dead.
Talk like that.
I'm Mel Brooks.
he's trying to give Bradley Cooper a run for his money.
That's what
Not bad.
All right, well, let's wrap this up here. So let's do a quick go around. Final thoughts on Poor Things, and again, the question that I always like to bring it back to: if you were to vote for this for Best Picture, why would that be? What would your logic be? Or if there was anything you disliked about it so much that you would opt to spoil your ballot and write in May, December, which we will now call pulling an Anna on this channel because we love Anna. Why would that be? I don't think I'm going to pull an Anna on this. I do think it has merit enough to let it win Best Picture because by merit of having a solid performance by Emma Stone and a coherent directorial vision that maybe I don't understand, but it's there, and I respect that. Yeah, let's go to Vince.
Yeah, look, I think this movie is on like you said, Matt, on its own merit, deserving of a win. You know, if it wins Best Picture, then I can see why it receives Best Picture. But the question is, does it deserve Best Picture? I don't know. It feels pretty Greek, though. So, and look, I think it's great.
It's all Greek to Vince.
This is the best Greek film I've seen since Mamma Mia. And
Mamma
about
Mia 2,
Troy?
to be precise. Troy?
Yeah, Troy.
Troy's great.
Troy's pretty great.
Troy
You know,
wins 10 out of 10
Indiana
times.
Jones 5 got pretty Greek towards the end. So, anyway, look, I like the
Greco-Roman,
movie.
yeah.
I think Emma Stone did a good job. I'm still voting for Lily Gladstone, but Emma Stone did good, and I think she'll be remembered for this role.
Nice. Alex?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think it's an like very well made movie. It's very well crafted, you know, to Jeanette's earlier point. Like every kind of aspect of this movie was working together. What's so funny?
Oh, I just all of a sudden saw the comments
Oh, okay.
just while the game was happening, and they entertain me. Mostly because I realized K-Dog and Fish were playing along the whole time, and I feel bad that I ignored them. But you probably won, and then Vince saying I'm back was what got me. So
Yeah.
good job, Vince. Yeah. Nice. Yeah, how about you?
So, a couple things. Closing thoughts. Everybody here saying they would still vote for Lily Gladstone, and I'm a little confused. I just don't know how you can put this performance next to that one, and look at how pivotal. Like again, if Emma Stone doesn't pull this role off to a T, this movie fails. Lily Gladstone, like sure, but like just that one role not being acted well, I don't think that ruins that film. Also, again, and I know you spoke to this earlier, but like the amount of acting necessary for this role, the amount of commitment. But I don't know how she could be up against anybody else and anybody choose. I don't know. That's me. I would definitely choose this. I am choosing this one for Best Picture. I think every element of it works towards it. I think the one thing I haven't said tonight that I would say specifically to any other women watching this film or investigating the director or even the writer of the book, don't discredit stories about women written by men. I think that we're starting to kind of go that way in culture, and I don't discredit stories about men written by women. So like I don't want people to do it because I feel this movie made me feel so seen. And like, as far as like what just a normal, without going crazy about it, what a woman might deal with, not necessarily to these nth degrees that they show, but just this trial of life. And I love what Yorgos does in films about women. Like The Favorite is amazing. I like what he does with female characters. So I don't want people to start going down this literary and cinematic road of like you have to be of this thing to understand it and write stories about it. Because I think everybody can see everybody else.
Oh, well said.
I like that.
That is actually something I wanted to touch on, but I wasn't sure what my perspective of it was. So I'm glad you gave us, I was going to say an answer, but yeah, like your perspective on, can this effectively be told through what is like a male gaze, inevitably, like male writer, male director, female story. And yeah, just watching it, I didn't feel, I think, a disconnect in a way that felt inauthentic, but it's hard to say, like, not having lived a woman experience. But like another movie that I'll go to is like Color Purple to me, even though I'm not the target demographic, like I'm not a woman.
Not purple.
Yeah, exactly. So that to me, when I was watching it, I felt like, even though I don't have the lived experience, I feel like this is a story that should be told through a female perspective. It felt like there was a disconnect between the main character and the story being told. And I didn't have that same sensation watching this movie, while still acknowledging that, like, I'm not someone who can necessarily be tapped into what is effective storytelling in that way versus not. But I didn't feel that disconnect in this movie. So it did feel like it did what it set out to do. So
Yep.
I'm glad to hear that it had that experience for you. For me, I was just uncomfortable almost the whole time, but maybe one day I'll revisit it and take an Advil beforehand. I'll be fine.
Yeah, take a gummy or something.
You should also try watching it in one sitting.
Yeah, well, that is true. That is true. I knew I couldn't handle watching this movie in a theater, which is partially why I waited for it to come to video on demand. But
Yeah.
neither here nor there. Anyway, we're back next week with our Oscar prediction show. I'm very excited. I need to catch up on all the other movies between now and then, so I can.
I
watch-
only have 2 movies left. I only have Zone of Interest and American Fiction. That's okay.
I really want to see Zone of Interest.
I do too, like really
Mhm.
bad. I think I'm going to do that this week.
I have a week. I have a week to do it. So we'll touch base next week and see how far along all of us got. But until then, it's that time. Tell us who you are, what you do, and what you want us to know. Let's start with Vince.
Hey everyone.
Hi, Vince.
My name's Vince. I come from a little YouTube channel called Only Time Will Tell, and I run a show. You know, it's a bit of a documentary. It's a bit of a paranormal satire comedy called Only Time Will Tell.
It's a great show.
It's not bad. You know, it's a little underappreciated, I think. But you know what? I got another subscriber today, so we're really moving up in the world. I want to recommend a film that I saw. It's Rustin. I watched Rustin on Netflix.
What was it?
I liked it. I thought it was good. I think the actor did a very good job. I don't think he's going to win, but I'm glad he's nominated. It was a good performance. The actor Coleman Domingo, I recognize him from being the comedic relief neighbor on Blackish. So he did a much more serious role here. You know, it seemed like a passion project of his. Did a great prequel of the play A Seat Next to the King, if you're familiar.
Nope.
So, I don't know. Check it out. You know, if you haven't seen it already, I'll probably watch American Fiction. I guess I gotta watch Zone of Interest. I'm not that interested in it, but I
But you're
don't
not
know.
getting the
Maybe I'm
zone.
wrong.
Getting the
I
zone.
would be wrong. Anyway, folks. See you next time.
Hey, everybody. So I'm Jeanette, TinkerJ787 on Instagram. You can find me here, and I'm very excited for next week. So definitely tune back in then and every week after. And then on Thursdays on We Like Theme Parks, a new episode anywhere that you get podcasts on the Chip and Co podcast network. Yeah, so I'm just really excited for the Oscars, and I can't wait to see who wins.
Woo! Thank you, Jeanette.
Vince, how the hell am I supposed? Do you have? Is it a YouTube channel? How am I supposed to find you? Because I look up Only Time Will Tell, and the Asia song dominates.
Vince is gone. Well, he's in the waiting room, but he's left.
Well, he can hear me.
Yeah, there it is.
Is it on YouTube?
Yeah, it's on YouTube and TikTok.
You should also put it on like your Facebook or something. Vinny Ridge Media.
Yeah, Vince and I aren't Facebook friends. He hasn't added me. I don't know why.
Vince and I are Facebook friends.
I know you two are. You always show up as a mutual.
Okay, yeah, okay. Vinny Ridge. There you go.
Okay. Bye, Alex. Wait, what? Yeah, hi.
Hey,
Hey.
what's up, man?
Yeah.
Have you checked out this YouTube channel called @VinnyRidge Media? Only Time Will Tell or something?
No, wait, no. What is it? Is it this one down here? Vinny Ridge Media?
Yeah. If you look that up on YouTube,
Yeah.
there's a whole channel.
Yeah. What? Really?
Yeah.
It's
Have you?
fine.
Do you know about YouTube, Matt?
I don't. No.
No. Yeah. So it's this wonderful place where content creators upload videos and video.
Where?
as-
Like, is it like a shared folder, like a Dropbox situation?
No. So it's kind of like you go to the website and you
Clearly,
get
they're not
to-
embedded videos. I just watch.
they're embedded in the web page.
Oh,
Yeah. So, but they're not limited to the embedded like format. Like you can click on it and then it goes like, gives you a more comprehensive view. That you can go full screen. You can go kind of more
No.
theatrical mode where it's like kind of half the screen as it were, or maybe there's all kinds of options.
they're
It's
only
really
pre-recorded videos, though, right? Only things that are.
No, you can go live on YouTube
No,
as
you
well.
can't.
You can do
No, you
live content on YouTube.
No, you shut your
Yeah.
whore mouth.
You know what? If anything, that Poor Things has taught me. If it's taught me anything, it's that having a whore mouth is not that bad,
Valid.
And nobody puts Bella in
Maybe
a corner.
And with that, friends, join us next week for the Teacup for One Oscar prediction show. My name is Matt, and I have 2 degrees, and this has been the Tea Cup for One. How do you end this?